Hey, what up, jerks? How you doing, jerks? How you doing today? It is hot. It's even hot where I'm at. Usually this is the coolest room in the house. Usually that's why I have the sweatshirt, the hoodie, or the black jacket on, or navy blue. But today I'm even hot in the t-shirt. It is just, and we have the central air full blast. It is warm today. It's been warm all over. If you can just turn that AC up. I know we're supposed to conserve, but make sure you're feeling good. Make sure you got plenty of water, plenty of drinks. We don't want anyone. It's very hot out. So, without further ado, we have a big show today. We just posted some video too of Karen Reed's attorney, Alan Jackson, touring 34 Fairview out in the lawn, in the basement, in the bulkhead. Nick Rocco has been posting these little clips to Twitter, X. We put them together, compiled, I think like four of them. Just put them together in one little video. Try to turn up the volume as much as we could, and we caption them. Definitely may talk about that today. I don't want to ignite any like crazy stuff about it because I don't think it's that revealing, but it's just great to see the inside and kind of what Alan Jackson was doing uh, to investigate this and to look into this and the planning for the Karen Reed defense. So we may play that. I just posted that up on our YouTube. It's also on Nick Rocco's Twitter, his X account. He's got a new X account. Make sure you follow Nick Rocco. We got a great guest here tonight. Coming back, attorney Nan Gallagher, friend of the show. Very happy to have her back, especially since post conviction. I got to meet her in person finally the day before the verdict came for Karen Reed, and haven't talked to her much since. So it's time to bring her back up on the show and to discuss the Karen Reed verdict, Sandra Birchmore, anything else we want to talk about. Maybe take some phone calls today. Maybe look at Yuri. Yuri's had some testimony recently in a hearing for Brian Walsh. There's so many things we could talk about. So without further ado, let's bring up attorney Nan Gallagher. How you doing, Lothario?
I'm great, Mike. How are you?
I'm hot. It's hot today. Like even in the down here, this is supposed to be the cool room, and it's still hot.
It's hot. Yeah, I was telling you before the show, and I apologize to your viewers for being late. I had a blackout and then a bunch of fuses blew. So I'm in a makeshift studio for you all today. And everyone, I know I sound a little congested. I'm feeling better. So thanks to everyone who watched me completely melt down on LTL the other night. I'm feeling better, but I had to leave the Commonwealth because I didn't want to get anyone sick.
Oh, I'm glad you're feeling better. That's tough to do it on a show. It's happened to me before
I
with COVID,
sound
actually.
worse. Yeah, and I sound
Yeah,
worse than I feel, so
yeah.
it's good. It's good.
That's always the coming back part when you know you feel better, but your body's still getting rid of it as it should. And yeah,
Yeah.
um, somebody made a post. Number two with potted plants says post conviction question mark. Did I say post conviction? It was actually a conviction, but it was also an acquittal for Karen Reed. She was acquitted of the major charges. I guess you could call it a post conviction. I call it post verdict, I guess is the right term on this one. Because you can also say post acquittal. I mean, post acquittal of the major charges, the most expensive OUI that any of us have ever seen. I mean, it was just two trials to get a simple OUI. You were there. You were in Dedham for the duration of this. Towards the end, I saw you the day before the verdict came in. What do you think about everything that happened on that day? Number one, because we haven't talked to you since then. I know you've been on other shows to talk about it, but also, what do you think about since then, especially with Hank Brennan and some of his statements and some of these loser trolls who are still crying? How many days later? It's been
Didn't take
over a week.
long.
Yeah, they're still crying today. They're still very upset about what happened in court. What are your comments today
Oh
about
my
Karen Reed?
God. Okay, Mike. You know the recipe for Nan Gallagher. I think it works for Better too. You just wind me up and I will unload. So that's there's a lot to talk about, but I did want to start by saying it was such a pleasure meeting you in person. I actually, everyone makes a joke about how my vision is not that great. and I'm very reluctant to wear glasses or contacts. And I was standing outside the Registry of Deeds, and someone said, "Oh, there's Mike Crawford," and I'm like squinting. I'm like, "Is it? You're much taller than in person than I imagine, because we're usually just sitting down having a conversation." And I was like, "Oh my God." And I completely fangirled. I was so excited to meet you. And
I was
it,
excited too. I fangirled back. It
oh,
was
that's
pretty
great.
cool.
Yeah, I had
Yeah,
a great
you were like the
time.
first. It's funny because I almost felt bad because I saw a guy that I know from way back, like from the music scene. He's kind of a local legend himself, named Chuck White.
Yep.
I'd seen him down there before, like once before, down like for the first trial, and it was wicked excited when I got to see him down there. And I'm walking in and I see him and I see you and I say, "Hey, what's up, Chuck?" And I just went right to you. And it's like I almost felt bad. I was like, I love Chucky White. Chucky, if you're watching, it's no offense, man. I had never met Nan before. I've seen Chuck before.
I beat
Chuck's
you
a
out,
great guy,
Chuck.
but I
I
had to
I
meet
trumped
Nan.
Chuck. Yeah, that was so great, Mike, and I hope it's not the last time. And I actually was just up back in the Commonwealth from Sun. I was supposed to be up all week looking at real estate, but my summer cold has intervened, and I left within 36 hours of arriving. But with all of that preamble, let's talk. So I saw you the day before the verdict, and then I was very honored to just plan a trip that aligned with the verdict. And what was that, June 17th or 18th, whenever that was, I stood outside, and the feeling was electric, not only meeting all of the Free Karen Read supporters. And just to remind everyone, I didn't see anybody there who was anti whatsoever. They were at the feeling, the camaraderie, the feeling of support and anxiousness, and everyone was just so sweet to me. I mean, I've said this before on another stream, like I didn't really eat much or plan meals much while I was up there, and there were people like offering me food and drink. So thank you to any of you who are watching. Very much appreciate it, because the parking there was so limited. I didn't want to leave and go grab something, and I didn't want to leave the vicinity of the court to go up to one of the wonderful restaurants, because I'm like, with my luck, I'm going to miss something. So thank you to everyone who was there. And once they announced that there was going to be a verdict, it was like everyone just pounced on the vicinity right in front of the courthouse. And I was lucky enough to be right up against the barrier, or one of the barriers. And other than an SUV kind of blocking my view, from some of the post-verdict announcements that came out, the feeling was electric. It just, I'll never forget it. And a friend of mine actually sent a video from, I think it might have been Court TV, where they kind of caught me like staring at my phone trying to listen to the verdict being announced. And the internet was, or Wi-Fi was so bad there, or cell service, whatever it is, I'm not techie, that I just couldn't hear. And the wave of the verdict, the announcement, and everyone being made aware of it just rushed over the crowd. And I'm just standing there chanting and screaming. It was just a wonderful feeling. What I wasn't able to see, because of my vantage point, was the attorneys and the Reeds kind of making announcements to the media afterwards. But I have to tell you, like, it's forever emblazoned in my mind, the view and sound of Aiden Carney coming out after the horrendous boos for John DePP, as I know he's being called now. I mean, I saw that, and it was magic. To see it on television or YouTube was even better. And I have to say, like, I'm sure you've talked to Betero and others about the whole OUI off ramp that was pursued, and I think it was a smart idea to include that OUI charge. And if the jury felt that they needed to tag her with something, especially in light of her statements. I mean, I say statements, the media or documentary clips that were played during the trial, then this gave them the perfect opportunity to kind of say, okay, we're going to tag her with something and not the big charges. And the jury really listened. And since the verdict, I'm so happy to hear from Paula Prado and the foreperson to kind of see their methodology and their mindset and to take a little peek into the sanctity of the jury deliberations. And, everything's pointing towards the fact that the jury started where our founding fathers wanted them to start, which is there's a presumption of innocence. And you start there, and if the Commonwealth convinces you otherwise, beyond a reasonable doubt to a moral certainty, then you start convicting. I think you did say post-conviction too, but I didn't catch you. So, you can get a pass from me. But I love the way the jurors have come forward, and they're giving the trolls tremendous anxiety because there's nothing coming out of these jurors' mouths that would disrupt a verdict, that would make people say, they didn't apply their mindsets right, or they didn't follow the steps properly. We're not hearing anything about jury interference, at least during the deliberative process. We might be hearing something about jury, I don't want to say interference, but jury hassling or juror hassling and certainly harassment after they've come forward, which I find extremely troubling. And I'm happy to talk about that. And frankly, disgusting, some of the things I'm seeing from the real predictable antis, and then the ones who I wouldn't expect so much from, who should know better. But yeah, that's where we're at. And in, what is it? It's 2 weeks. I think the verdict came out 2 weeks from today. It didn't take long. It did not take long for everyone to kind of just start fighting amongst themselves and pointing fingers and questioning all that has transpired and insulting, truly insulting some of the jurors, insulting the lawyers. I'm also really tickled pink to see the lawyers come forward and give their takes. Not all of them yet, but the bromance between Yannetti and Alessi is something that I could just watch on loop all day long. I love to see that. Only a few times in my career have I ever been in a position to really have a nice synergy with co-counsel. Usually it tends to get a little territorial, a little competitive, and I am territorial and competitive. So I love to see their, I don't want to say budding relationship because they really sound like the best of friends, but it's just wonderful that they both gravitate towards one another. Yeah, thanks for asking though. I think it's all starting to settle in, but there's so much more to talk about. And we've got AJ coming on Turtle Boy show for whatever limited duration. I think it's Saturday, and I really am interested to hear what he has to say.
Can't wait for that. I've been waiting for that for a while. I've been saying that to I sent him a couple messages, Aiden. I said before it was announced, actually. I said the one I'm waiting for is Aiden Jackson. I just want to hear the one-on-one. And basically I asked for it, and then like 3 days later it got announced. Like I was like, yes. I've been feeling like that a lot in my life lately. Like I say things and then like 3 days later it happens. Like I can just manifest. I gotta say, like, and this Karen Reed thing too, like, hey, it was just the right thing to do for all of us, is to back her. And these trolls, how upset they are, I'm just laughing my ass off. It's so fun. It's so fun to watch it. And them to try to troll these jurors who have been so good. They were like that foreman. His statements were so powerful. The stuff he said when he was just like us. He said the sweatshirt, when they had holes in the sweatshirt, and Hank Brennan presented that. That's fraud. And the foreman saw it, and he knew that was funky, and exactly what all of you had said, like what you were saying on the show. Betterow was saying it. Steinbeck was saying, all these folks were saying the same thing, that the jury's going to see what Hank Brennan's all about, what he's doing. They're seeing it just like we are. The jury's turned off, and that's exactly what happened. Is that he had no credibility, no evidence. And the funky stuff, it just underlined it. It was just like, and that's what they can't handle. That's why they're so mad going after Paula and going after this foreman in any of the juries, because they're just telling the truth. And they thought Turtle Boy was an environmentalist.
I can't believe
Paula,
that.
I've been messaging Paula. Like they said, oh, Paula's following all these accounts. One of them was ours. I'm talking to Paula. She called me Mark. She doesn't know who we are. She had like I had to explain who the frick we are. Like, just talking to her. She has no clue about any of what we've been all doing. Like all of this was all new to them. And it's so obvious. And they're such a joke. They are such a joke. It's so funny.
And it's so interesting. Like Paula seemed to, and I'm kind of going by memory and I'm kind of hopped up on cold meds, but she seemed to delve right into news and social media very quickly. I mean, imminently after participating in the issuance of a verdict. And however she said that during an interview, the trolls were all over it. The antis were like, see, she was researching all of this. No, she wasn't. And I mean, everyone needs to keep remembering jurors didn't have to know nothing about the case and pardon the double negative. They can know that Karen Reed is what she was accused of. They can know that there's billboards up that have said free Karen Reed. If they saw any of them during their service as a juror, they should be bringing it forward to the judge for a determination to be made as to whether the juror has been tainted in any way. But in terms of her research, and I'm sure others did as well, once you go into these rabbit holes, it's really hard to crawl out of them. I've had a hard time unclenching, I guess would be the right way to say it, after the verdict and trying to see everything that's developed, even down to Brennan's statement, which we can talk about, or Morrisy's statement after the fact. But I keep getting people coming up to me who in my circles, my clients have known I've been very interested in Karen's case. Many of them have been extremely supportive. Many of them are up in Massachusetts. But in my private life, I have not really made it very known. I have a few close friends who kind of knew that it was an interest of mine, but most people did not. And then I had posted something on my personal Facebook where I said, hey, I haven't really been on personal Facebook in a while, but I've been working on something that's been of interest to me. And, a lot of friends have reached out going, oh my God, I'm interested in that case too. A lot of people have followed it, but really never appreciated the value of YouTube or Twitter or just being online in the Facebook forums or other social media platforms. And everyone's kind of coming now and saying, this was of interest to me. So now they're going into the rabbit holes, just like Paula is and others.
I mean, think about how many people that just saw, like, let's say I forget the network, but like the Karen Reed documentary. They just saw that. They were kind of interested. They were like, oh, maybe she did it. I'm not sure. And now they see how it turned out, and they're like, shit, now I'm really interested. Now I really want to see what's going on. I saw that documentary.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. Now, wow, what's going on here? So a lot of that going on too, definitely.
Yeah, and if you don't really, I almost feel bad for the uninformed public. And I have all along with the progression of this case. And a lot of people, and I've said this before, a lot of people think that I've come out of the woodwork for the second trial. That's actually not true. I've been following this case I really followed it since 2022 loosely, because it always just kind of intrigued me. And I always watched the little cases saying, okay, what's going on with that? But then once Aiden broke the case wide open, I don't remember how that came to my attention, but I delved right in. And I was writing the chats on YouTube all through trial 1.0 and its pre-trial phase and then thereafter. And as I've done that, I'm looking at all of these little side shoots that you can go off on. And then I became aware of Sandra Birchmore's case, which obviously we can talk about tonight. Or I've learned more about Just en Route and have had actually several opportunities to meet and speak with Jen Root. And I'm happy to say we've formed a very nice friendship.
I like her. She's
I
a great
love
sister.
her.
She's a great sister to Just on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that too, about because obviously you just didn't jump in when people saw you. Same with me too.
No.
Like I started relatively early considering But like I wasn't at the rolling rally. I wasn't out during the rolling rally, but I was watching a lot of this shit too earlier. Like I was even messaging Aiden before I jumped into this too. So like of course anyone that's gonna jump in all the way in like we have and you know is thinking about this shit, you're obviously hopefully gonna be looking at it before you go public. I mean, that's obviously, and I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of people out there like that too, like who are very serious people who've been watching this the whole time. And like, look
Yeah.
at John Stamos at the end. He came
That's so
out,
funny.
like there's a lot of people like that out there that are looking at this whole thing and saying, Jesus, because it's just shocking. The more you look into it, like all the stuff that's going on with the butt dials and
Oh
the
my
stuff
God.
going into the house and just the state police too. The colonel just puts out this statement about how they're going to focus on excellence. They're going to start an excellence
Uh,
initiative, and they're going to have higher standards, and they're going to have accountability, and they're going to invest more into the police force, the training, and the health of them, which I think sounds all great, but at the same time, what about the corruption issue? There's just like a bad officer issue that is at the core of what's going on with Mass State Police, and it's so obvious. How do you fix that when he doesn't even acknowledge it in
yeah.
his statement? What do you think about that? Did you hear about his statement that he put out, this
Yeah.
video and the statement? What do you
Oh,
think about
wait,
that?
wait. Morrisy.
Is it
Wait.
No, the colonel. The
Oh, the
colonel of
colonel.
Mass State.
Yes. All right. So let me speak to this, Mike, because I remember the first night that I ever streamed and I was a guest on your show and I spoke a little bit about some police work that I used to do 20 years ago. It might have been a little less than 20 years ago. Um, and I have a lot of experience in terms of working with accredited bodies that perform services and govern those who to higher standards and then have to answer to third party accrediting bodies. So with respect to not only this video on the excellence program, whatever it's called, I literally almost fell out of my chair. For the Massachusetts State Police to take a position now saying that they're going to have this program in place where the paradigm is promote excellence, demand more from their officers, improve their training. And I'm going by memory, but all of that's lip service. What has to be done is get to the root cause of the problem. That would be for any accredited body also. If you have a systemic problem, one involving, for example, corruption, faulty investigations, lost evidence, poor chain of custody, fudged memories, false memories, all and I know I'm referring to, when I say false memories, I am referring to a Boston police officer, former Canton police officer when I say that. But in this storyline of so many systemic problems, no police entity can say this is our new and improved Massachusetts State Police and this is what we're going to adhere to. You have to fix the root cause. It's like if you have, I don't know, chronic bad breath. Well, you can't just rinse with mouthwash and brush your teeth because the bad breath is going to come back. Look deeper into what's causing it. That's probably the worst example I can give you all, but it's
There's
it's
probably a
real
rotting tooth there that needs to get filled
perhaps
or pulled
per
or
right. And the same holds true based on that audit for the Canton PD, which I had strong opinions about back in April because they were audited by, I think it's called Five Stones, and
Yep.
Five Stones performed its audit, looked into various subject areas to see if there were performance problems, and they found problems. They also issued gratuitous opinions that went far beyond what they were tasked to do. For example, saying we found no evidence of evidence tampering. Well, that's not for a third party auditor to determine. That's a forensic finding that Five Stones never would, could, or should have issued. But in terms of the Canton PD and its audit and whatever they have planned moving forward with their interim police chief, whose name is escaping me, and this Massachusetts State Police excellence program moving forward, both plans, I'm calling it now, and I don't think I'm alone. Both plans are going to fail because you can't just say these are the things we're going to do moving forward. You have to look back and say this is where we failed, and we've got to clean house. We've got to get rid of the cancers. We've got to get rid of the wolves in the hen house. We've got to make sure that things like this don't happen again. And it doesn't simply resort to better training and better equipment. And some of what is envisioned in what the auditors for the CPD were recommending and what the excellence program for the MSP is saying it's going to adhere to, some of these things are so aspirational on subjects that are so elemental to police investigation. You know, are you wearing body cameras? Are you conducting witness interviews properly? Are they recorded? Are they done as contemporaneously as possible to the events? Which kind of ties me into the Brian Walsh case, which I can mention momentarily. Are you having, if possible, 2 officers present at an interview? Are you separating witnesses? Are you conducting interviews at a third-party site, whether it's the CPD, for example, or Massachusetts State Police offices? Are you doing this in witnesses' homes? Are you properly looking at evidence and then verifying the accuracy of that evidence? I mean, I could go on and on and on. It's like, are you properly making determination as to probable cause? There is and was probable cause to go into Brian and Nicole Albert's home on the evening or early morning hours of July 29th, 2022. To hear Paul Gallagher, no relation, thank God, say that there would have been no reason to go in there makes me cringe, because there absolutely would have been. And if you juxtapose that with the Brian Walsh case, which is pending up in the community up there, I mean, they really looked deeply into his phone and electronics, or limited number of the electronics, thinking they had probable cause, and went probably far beyond what they ever should have looked at. So the hypocrisy alone is notable, and they have to, meaning the police, they have to say, we've got to fix the root causes of these problems. And I know you wound me up, and forget it, I could talk all night, Mike, but from a healthcare standpoint, so I remember when I first interviewed with you, I said I'm a healthcare lawyer, but there's a notable example I'll give you. In the hospital settings, if something goes wrong with a patient, if there's a bad outcome, they call them sentinel events. If something goes awry, let's use an example. A patient comes in, has a hip replacement, throws some type of blood clot, and ends up having what's called DVT, and ends up, expiring. That's a sentinel event. It has to be looked at retrospectively. So in hospital settings and in surgical center settings, they will have like an M&M, a morbidity and a mortality type of conference, where the doctors and healthcare providers involved sit down, roundtable the case, see what was missed, see what signs they could have found, see what went wrong, and how to fix it moving forward. Make a determination if it was really simple negligence, or if it was something where there was such an egregious and willful and wanton disregard for doing things properly that there has to be immediate change effected. That's the type of post-investigation or retrospective analysis. It's basically like a peer review that needs to be done
totally.
after the fact. And that's what helps make sure things like this don't happen again. So to the Massachusetts State Police and your forward-thinking excellence program, you can stuff it in your hat, because it's not going to work, because you're not looking backwards.
There should be some type of investigation commission internally, like you said, like bring in like experts to interview everybody, look into everything, and see what was wrong and how to fix it. Almost like an audit, but a real audit for for the Mass State Police. And there's just so much that needs to be done.
Yeah, a real one where there's no dog in the fight for the auditors, Yeah.
There's no one they're trying to please for money. um, which seemed like that's what was going on in Canton. It was like, yeah, we're just gonna please the select board. They're the ones paying us, and yeah.
It was so obvious.
And
That
let
day
me let me
really
yeah,
bothered me to listen to that.
definitely. And as far as the body cameras, I saw that came up in the chat. With
Oh,
Canton, the Canton police specifically, they did not have body cameras back when John O'Keefe was found in the snow. They didn't have body cameras. They had cameras in the vehicles in the
yep.
inside. They definitely could have recorded. They did record some stuff with Jennifer McCabe on the 911 call, right? Um, they could have recorded much more. It's even just using those cruisers. They didn't record the interviews, and today they actually do have body cameras now, which is
Yes.
weird because it's like a pilot. It was kind of hush hush. Like a lot of us were like, why don't you have body cameras? And they actually were doing it and not telling the public. This is how messed up Canton police has been. Like it literally, I had to find out through my chat and my people in Canton that they actually were moving forward with body cameras. And just if they had just told people, it would have silenced a lot more people about this issue. At least they were doing something. Like,
Yeah.
you'd think Helena Rafferty would want some type of positive news on what her department was doing, and they never even communicated it with the public. That's how shitty Helena Rafferty has been. She hasn't come to the select board. She hasn't said anything. She's been in hiding basically since she yelled at everyone at that select board meeting about the rolling rally. So, I mean, that's just it.
And I
We have
know
to find out on our own. We can't find out from our public officials. It's just crazy.
And I know, like I saw you went on a little before me on the Canton Chronicle the other night with John Camo at the kind of satirical retirement party for Helena Rafferty, and I was watching you. It was very amusing. But when we were going through that, I kept thinking, I'm so glad she's gone. I hope I forget the name of the gentleman who's the interim
It's
chief.
Joseph Perkins, and I gotta say,
Perkins.
I am a little bit optimistic about him because he was
Oh,
a police chief for a long time in Middleborough. So he's got the experience, and then he went to he retired for the state pension and all that, but then
yeah.
he could get another job. He went and got another job at an airport. He was the head of security of a state airport in Rhode Island. It had a lot of issues, a lot of labor issues, a lot of security issues, a lot of just ridiculousness issues. And he was there for 4 months. And basically, the ownership of that airport was doing crazy stuff that he didn't agree with. And
Yeah.
he got very upset and he couldn't fix the issues. So he basically resigned and then gave public statements on all the issues and why he was resigning. And I thought it was great because he was like a whistleblower. He was like, if I
Yeah.
can't fix this, I'm going to tell everybody why. And I'm not just going to take a paycheck and shut up. And so I'm hopeful that this is a guy that will take principle over a paycheck. We'll see if he's up for it. It's only interim. He hasn't been hired full time. They are doing a longer term search, which I also like because I think it gives them time to really make sure they get the right person. What do you think about that? Do you think it could be hopeful based on some of that?
Yeah, I do. I feel optimistic for the community up there. I want to say I heard some negative buzzings too, which I certainly wouldn't repeat. And I mean, no one's going to be a perfect candidate. Even Noble, who was brought up from New Jersey to, I don't know if he heads the Massachusetts State Police. But when you bring in new blood into any organization, there's always a shift. There's a position of transition. There's a position of fear, anticipation, just people are unsure of how things are going to be managed. Some people who are brought in for interim positions mail it in for the 6 months that they're there. Many people who were there for interim positions, it's almost like a rent to own.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's an audition. Maybe I'll stay. And maybe he'll do great, maybe he'll stay. But as far as he's concerned, Perkins and his predecessor Rafferty, and then talking about Morrisy, I feel with respect to Rafferty and Morrisy, they should have gotten their asses into court at least some of the days to listen to real time some of the testimony that unfolded in that courtroom in Karen's case, and especially Morrisy, because if he, and I obviously he was watching from afar, but this is your team. This is your hired gun who you brought in for God knows what reason. There was no conflict of interest. He brought Brennan in, spent a lot of taxpayer money in the process. Don't wind me up about Brennan. That's a whole separate show, Mike. But, you can't show your face there,
Talk about Brennan next. Yeah, that's a great point that I never thought of. And it's so true. Like, you would think if he's so convinced that this is the right thing to do and he wants the public to back it, like, why not show up one day?
Show
Why
up
not?
one
Why
day.
not show up? Just one day. He never showed up. It's just that says a lot, actually. A lot. He's a coward. He's basically a coward.
It's cowardice. Yes.
Yeah. And all of them. The same thing with Helena Rafferty, like I talked about. Like, she actually was doing something good, the body cameras, but she's such a coward. She didn't come out to the public and like let people know. Like, she should have been telling that story for 6 months. She should have been like hitting every cable television, every YouTube show,
Yes.
every newspaper, every local meeting, and been like, we're doing body cameras. Like, that should have been a thing that was talked about so much that we got tired of hearing about Helena Rafferty and her body cameras. Instead, hiding away. And that's what we see with Morrisy. And that's what we see now from Hank Brennan, because they put out their statements. They put out their statements in writing. That's all they ever do. That's all Helena Rafferty's done. That's what Michael Morrisy's been doing. And now Hank Brennan puts out this crazy statement in response to Alan Jackson and then doesn't want to talk to the public anymore. What did you think about Hank Brennan's statement about how, at the end, he felt bad for the family, but everything else was it's jury intimidation, it's social media mobs. He basically blamed the jury. He basically not owning up to any of what he did. What did you think about his statement?
Oh, I mean, to echo my fellow Esquire, go fuck yourself, sir. Bettero, not you, Mike. You don't need to go fuck yourself. But I mean, look, it takes a lot to wind Bettero up, and I know he's kind of soft shooted after the fact, which I totally get and I respect. But I cannot believe that Brennan put out that statement, because what he's done in the process of basically saying, and again, it's not in front of me, folks, but the jury has spoken, which I believe Morrisy might have said as well. But if you're going to say, well, the jury has spoken, but blah, 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 it's all blame it on social media, point to the McAlberts. They're really the true victims. The O'Keefes, they're never going to get justice. And again, give grace, guys. I don't have it in front of me. The fact that you'll at least acknowledge the jury has spoken, and then in the same breath, don't miss a beat, and then give your own take on, well, I looked at this, I was given exclusive discretion to review this case, go through it analytically, I looked at all the evidence, and it only pointed to one person. That's not only unheard of, that is so ethically improper for a, quote, prosecutor, even though he's a defense counsel and, by trade, for a prosecutor to do that. You've not only undermined the jury's decision, the jury deliberative process, the Constitution of the United States, which basically says that a jury gets to determine based on a reasonable doubt whether someone is guilty or not guilty. What Brennan did in that process was basically sweep that all away and say that none of that matters, because I was going to be judge, jury, and executioner. I'm using that proverbially. That is undermining to the entire criminal justice and jurisprudence process that we have in the United States. We have it in the Commonwealth. We have it in New Jersey and New York, where I practice, and in DC, where I practice. So what he's done is basically say, disregard what the jury had to say, because I truly believe, as the specially appointed district attorney in this case, that what I think mattered. And it never mattered, Brennan. You had an opportunity not only to prove that case, I'm glitching, I'm sorry, to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt to a moral certainty, but what you also had was an opportunity, in my opinion, not that of the show, to be an ethically comporting barrister, and you weren't. And it was so obvious throughout the pre-trial to 2.0 phase, throughout all of the voir dire process, throughout the cross-examination of defense witnesses, and then to go further, once the defense started to put on its case, he completely just devolved into complete debauchery when it came to how he was going to ask questions, how he was going to treat witnesses. He treated them with disrespect. It wasn't robust cross-examination. It was actually assassination of some of these witnesses. He made a big deal about ham sandwiches and who drove whom to where and who showed up at a hotel to meet with the defense attorneys when the defense attorneys were living, most of them, in hotels for weeks and weeks at a time. So Brennan, your statement, it's embarrassing. It makes people like me, who did things the right way and comports herself ethically, absolutely affronted and offended for you, and you can't take it back. So no matter how many times you want to sit and sulk in a Dunkin' Donuts with your lame outfit and you're going to look at your phone, with your bad hairstyle, you are never, ever, ever going to shake the absolute misery that's going to follow you from the community based on this complete sham that you perpetrated on the taxpayer dime. So those are my opinions.
$1 million, most expensive OUI conviction ever, dirtbag forever. That's what he is to me. He's a dirtbag. Yeah, I mean,
he is. And someone said at some point, Mike, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Somebody said in the chain of the timeline of the progression of 2.0, all this for a hit and run, like all this for a drunk driving case. This was before the trial. A taxpayer, I don't know if it was on Twitter or on an interview on more mainstream media, which I can't even stomach anymore. Someone said at some point in time, like, all this, we've gone through all of this for a hit and run or a DUI. I don't remember what the particular nuance was there. And I have to agree. And by saying that, I do not mean that John O'Keefe's life and whomever did this to him is not important and important to find out. But what I am saying is no reasonable district attorney would have looked at the evidence and looked at the problems procuring and retaining and that evidence and keeping proper chain of custody and conducting interviews. No district attorney would look at that case and say, this is a strong case. It's pointing to one person. And no one would do that. So I know I'm not alone. I've heard other law tubers, of which I'm not, going along and saying, I would have never brought this case. And I have to agree with them. So it's a waste. And people are saying, oh, this was $1 million waste. I think this is much more than $1 million.
Million. Yeah, especially if you include the 400,000+ for Aperture, the amount they paid for Brennan, the security cost, the court cost, the judge cost, the bailiff cost. I mean, it's just the printing. I mean, we're talking millions of dollars. Grant's rope belt. Thank you so much for the 25 donation. Said, God bless you, Mike and Nan. Happy 4th. Happy 4th to everybody. Happy 4th to Grant's rope belt.
Thanks, Grant.
I hope it's not too much trouble holding up Grant's pants there.
You know, he's by the way, well, but speaking, not you, Grant.
Can we mention about Grant? Grant has a lot of conspiracy theories. He's gone really out there again.
I just want to say to Grant Smith Ellis, if you're watching, and yes, I know that's not you, Grant's rope belt, but to Grant Smith Ellis, if you're watching, shame on you, sir. I don't watch you, but I see little clips and people make me aware of some of the horrific things that you're saying about Karen Reed, the defense, jurors. Shame on you. That is irresponsible. That's probably the lightest and most euphemistic word I can say. But you are doing nothing but fomenting ill will, racism, cultural divides, religious divides in this process, all because you are completely flailing in the wake of the verdict, which was the right and just verdict. So there are others who I could include in this list, but Grant's rope belt as a handle made me think of that. But some of the things that some of the antis have been saying are absolutely disgusting. And you all need to find a hobby, one that does not involve John O'Keefe, Karen Reed, the defense team, move on to something new and productive and live better lives because your hatred is absolutely abysmal.
True grifter. I mean,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
totally grifting now. He is such a grifter now, too. It's like just totally grifting. Like just
He's grifting,
it's
and
disgusting, Grant. Grant, I know you used to try to impress me. What would be impressive if you're still trying to impress me is just stop. Just stop doing what you're doing, dude. It's really gross. It's embarrassing.
it's never too
Um,
late. It's never too late to stop. That's
I
why I'm
know.
like, just stop.
Come
And
on.
talking about grifting, sorry about the glitching. It never would be a stream with Nan Gallagher without some glitching, right? But speaking of glitching, can we talk about grifting for a minute, Mike?
Yeah.
Jennifer Coffindaffer? Seriously? Seriously. I mean, she's out of her mind. The fact that she even has a platform for people to listen to what she has to say under the auspices of, she's a former FBI agent. I don't know why the FBI, which I'm assuming this woman gets a pension. I'm making an assumption. Maybe that's out there or not. But I'm assuming the FBI does not appreciate her poor judgment. These are my opinions. Her poor judgment, her reckless opinions that are out there. She was referring, if I recall, to Michael Easter, who's,
It's a grifter.
as a
Yeah, she
grifter,
called him a grifter.
and
An
how
FBI
wonderful is
guy, an FBI who was who was an expert witness in this trial, wasn't allowed to testify, and he also apparently worked on the case at one point. So, and
yeah.
she's calling him a grifter, and he's
And
a
that
real
woman,
FBI special agent, and she wasn't. Like she was, I don't know what she was. She was like a safety, like a gun safety trainer, I believe. It's like this guy is like a legit like FBI guy. We had Jody on the other night, Jody Weber. She's
yes,
also like legit. If you look into her, and you could tell just by the way they speak too. Just watch them. Put the three of them up side by side. You can see who the two real FBI
yeah.
agents are. It's not Coffindaffer. It's these other two, and they're basically calling her out. Both of them have been like, this is ridiculous. So
Jody was, and that reminds me, I watched her on your show, and I need to look her. I probably follow her on Twitter, but I need to look up her channel. She was fantastic, and
yeah,
if you put her in a room or her on a panel with Coffin Doofus, I'm calling her that. That's not any opinion of the show. But with Coffin Doofus and Michael Easter, I have every reason to suspect that Coffin Doofus would be completely embarrassed, and she would probably clam up because, it's kind of hard to sit in the presence of sound opinions and greatness as it comes to proper protocols that are supposed to be followed and then spew your stupidity. Like she would be, it's kind of like, readily apparent that she doesn't measure up. And I want to say it was Betterow. Yeah, maybe he said it on your show. Like she'll shape shift and move on to the next crime. And
exactly what he said. Yeah,
yeah,
the
like he was
next
saying,
grift to the next crime grift, basically.
right. And I think he's absolutely right. And, she'll take a position that will bring
The
viewers and
most viewers.
followers and clicks her way, but it's reckless the way she offers opinions like this. So, I go back to the old jury charge, which is false in one, false in all. Like, I don't believe a single word that has come out of her mouth as it relates to her Karen Reed analysis as former law enforcement. So now if I ever hear her talking about any other case, I'm going to say, nah, she's full of shit.
Exactly. And I think people should remember too and point to the fact that Michael Morrisy's office recruited her through
Yeah.
David Traub, the North Fork County District Attorney's Office press, secretary, press person, was basically, touting Jennifer Coffindaffer in emails and FOIA requests that came out that he was pointing to her as like, we have this woman. She's got a great following. She's gonna be the one that helps us. And considering that, this was a comment that was made earlier. Chris Keys said Brennan's statement was aimed at Turtle Boy too, and I
Yeah.
think that's a great point. Like when you're cooperating with the state in this type of trial, and the state is presenting evidence that is fraudulent, like Brennan did in court several times about the X-rays and the sweatshirt holes, and then Brennan puts out the statement, as Chris says, that was aimed at Turtle Boy too. It felt like that. It felt like he's never going to stop. It felt like that was what that whole thing was about, the statement. Did you feel like that too? That it was all just about, we're going to make sure we screw Turtle Boy now?
Yeah, it had that vibe to it. And as far as Turtle Boy is concerned, like I've heard people say, I've said it myself, but I've heard other people say maybe Brennan will insert himself or be asked to insert himself in place of Cosgrove or Mello on any of the charges against him, and that would not surprise me. So when I think of, I mean, I'm not saying that's very likely to occur. I want to be very clear, but it wouldn't surprise me because I feel that Brennan has an axe to grind. He probably feels that he was, he got the L on this. No matter how many ways you skin the cat, but also the bigger fish to fry in his mind might be Turtle Boy. Plus, there's people like Morrisy, Tully, and those others who feel like they've really got a personal stake in what happens to Turtle Boy as to his all or some of his pending charges. So I think that the statement was a shot at Turtle Boy. And honestly, they're separate matters. They're separate charges. What Karen went through her battle, I'm so happy she was triumphant. Aiden will face his battles. He's got a stellar team of lawyers. He's got a stellar army of supporters. I consider myself proudly to be one of them. And I would encourage anyone to really consider what's at stake with regard to his charges, because if you think that you have First Amendment rights, then his charges matter to you. If you feel that you want real, raw, authentic reporting that's not in any way filtered or influenced by mainstream media gurus and tyrants who are trying to feed you some type of skewed messaging, and you want someone to ask the hard questions and be able to knock on doors or state publicly that you think someone is a murderer, or really just ask, hey, whatever happened that night? What about this? Where were you on that night? Every citizen is allowed to do that. Is there a bunch of nuance to it? Sure. But these are issues that many people feel are even more important than those that were facing Karen Reed. And I understand that type of mentality. So I do think that, Brennan and others, whether Brennan is going to be in front of the scenes or behind the scenes, they're keeping an eye on Turtle Boy, and he's the next target, or as you say up there.
We're keeping an eye on them because July 7th, 2 p.m. is Turtle Boy's Aiden Carney's next court hearing. Mark Betterow is definitely going to be here. I'm expecting a big crowd. 2 p.m. Norfolk Superior Court. Again, July 7th. That's next week. So
let's
that's be there 5 days from now.
Monday, I believe. Yeah. I wish I could be there.
Yeah. And I'm still trying to determine. I'm either going to be at home trying to stream it for everybody, or I'm going to be there in court and then try to stream after I get out of court, if there's any speeches or anything. Either way, we'll be covering it. And I expect a lot of I know a lot of other YouTubers and creators are going to be doing some stuff that day. Like people are geared up. And whether you're at home watching it, supporting, sharing it, or you can be there, whatever you can do that day. Like we're all hopefully going to be supporting Turtle Boy on Monday.
Well, if I can give you my unsolicited 2 cents, Mike, as someone who consumes information on YouTube, I always appreciate when you stream things, without commentary, and then it's there. You and your team of wonderful mods go to great lengths to make sure you have the right links or the Zoom links or the dial-in. And I know that I can go to the Young Jerks and say, this is where I'm going to stream, view the stream uninfluenced, without commentary. And then I can always look at the chat if I want to see, where people
Comment
are landing. And then there's always commentary in the evenings
after.
on this
Yeah.
stuff.
That's what I
That's
like to
just
do
my
too.
opinion.
I like to get it, streamed or recorded, and then we can talk about it later, and yeah,
Yeah. But
absolutely.
do whatever you want, my friend. I don't get to tell you what to do.
Well, we'll see what happens on Monday. And the thing about the Turtle Boy ones, it's hard to sometimes find the Zoom streams. It's like that's my worst nightmare is I stay home to stream
Yeah.
it and then I don't get the link. And I'm like, I should have just gone. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's my decision on Monday. But you know what's gonna end up? It's gonna be about the dogs. It's gonna be about and I think Mondays are harder for me, honestly, to even during this dead time. I still have some dogs to walk on Monday. We'll see what happens because it is a holiday week. Sometimes people cancel. We'll see what happens. Well, Monday,
Speaking of
I'm sure
dogs,
someone will stream it either way. Hopefully, go ahead.
speaking of
Dogs.
dogs, I had put my kids are on vacation this week, and I had put my dog in boarding for while
Oh,
I'm supposed to be in
oh, in Boston.
Massachusetts right
Yeah,
now, and I didn't pick her up yet, so I'm taking a little
dog
break.
free
I'm taking a little break from her because she is like,
a lot.
I mean, she's like the Terminator, and I'm Sarah Connor. I mean, she is all over me. So for you Gen
Yeah.
Xers, you get it. So I'm enjoying a little Roselle free time right now, but I go
Oh,
pick her up tomorrow.
oh, she'll
Uh,
be happy. She'll be
yeah, oh
happy to
God,
be home.
yeah, yeah. But
Okay,
I
I want to
definitely,
read this one.
yeah,
Captain Skidmarks just says, I love this conversation. She's already grift shifting and talking about Jennifer Coffindaffer.
yeah. So
She's
funny.
already shifted the grift. So
You know what's
funny.
interesting? By the way, good to see you, Captain Skidmarks. And I will at least point out one point on this. People are already saying, I mean, I think it's kind of tongue in cheek and known a little bit in the community that I'm an inverted grifter. Like I haven't made a dime myself on the Karen Reed movement or Turtle Boy defense or any of that. But and I think that's very funny to be called an inverted grifter. But there's already been some buzz amongst people like, oh, see, Nan's on to her next grift. And me personally, I just laugh at that. Like, are you kidding? I have been interested in Turtle Boy's cases for a long time. And I have been following and learning about Sandra Birchmore's case for months and months now. And it's always interested me. And both Birchmore and Turtle Boy are matters that are interesting to my son. So my son is a budding, I don't know if I want to call him a journalist or a social media influencer. He's only 10, but he wants to really, I don't know, he's looking at mommy and saying, I'm interested in telling stories to people that they are interested in. And he is very interested in what happens to Aiden Carney. He wants to learn more, although, yes, to anyone who's going to report me to DFS, he wants to learn a little bit more about the Sandra Birchmore case, which I will absolutely give him in a very edited fashion, which the overall theme is bad cops. And not all cops are bad, and he will learn that from me. But I'm very excited to see my son's budding interest in true crime and battling corruption and trying to just make communities a better place without making money on it. So, yeah.
I think the videos of your son, they're great videos. He's very cute,
He
smart,
wants to go in
nice.
the new car though, Mike. He wants to go in the new car.
He
So,
does. Like who wouldn't want to? I mean, a kid
it's
that age, why wouldn't he want to be in the new car? That thing's
it's so
amazing.
fun. Yeah, it's so fun. The trolls are like,
Just
"See, she
wait,
was
wait till
paid."
he's driving it. Wait, what? How old? How many more years before he's driving it?
7.
7. All right.
Yeah, but I
Only got
will
7 more years.
to anyone who's listening, my children will be trained to drive on manual transmissions. That's the only way you drive. You know, I learned on a manual. That is how my kids are going to learn. Frankly, if I'm truth be told, I'm already taking them out to parking lots now and teaching them underage. Don't come and arrest me. But you know, we're car enthusiasts in this household. So that's the only way to drive. Although, yes, I do have some automatics as well.
Yeah, it's funny because I grew up on sticks, but now I'm just like, no way. I'm automatic. It's too much traffic. Where I live, it's just not fun. It's just too much traffic. If you're in the traffic, you want an automatic. It's just
Oh my
my house is
God. I could
all
tell you
traffic.
I could tell you guys stories. I won't bore you, but I'll just say this. I was once caught in 6 hours of bumper to bumper traffic in a Mini Cooper stick shift with stiletto heels on. Bumper to bumper. It took me
Get rid of
six.
those heels, Nan.
Yeah,
You take
now
them off.
yeah,
You kept them on.
I should have in retrospect, but yeah, now for the most part all I wear are sneakers unless I really have
Good.
to. Yeah.
Not good for your feet.
It was
You just gotta
awful.
think.
It was awful. It was good for the calves, though. It was very good for the calves. But anyway, I digress.
There's a question from Joan the Arc, or Joan of Arc. Says, Nan, have you seen the drivel being spewed by the prosecutor's podcast? I swear they didn't watch the same trial we watched. Do you know about them?
I know about them, Joan. I have not seen the drivel. That's a good word. I
I've
have
seen it on
I've been
Twitter. Oh God, they're
so
insufferable. They were
are
just
they going at it after the verdict? And I know I've read some of their tweets before the
they're just
verdict.
as bad as Kate Peter. Like they're not like obviously as dirty and nasty, but like their logic, it's like
It's
Kevin level. It's like I can't believe you used to be an actual prosecutor. It's like, are you serious? Are you that
no way.
delusional?
Now
These
I'm
guys,
interested, Joan. Now I gotta go look. But
yeah.
I haven't seen what they've been spewing since the verdict. But I think they are in the significant minority if they're
Oh,
taking that
totally.
position.
Yeah.
And I forget whose program it was. I think it might have been Turtle Boys. He had a prosecutor on from like the Midwest a couple
Yeah.
of
We've had
months
them.
ago.
Yeah.
Did you
We've
have
got,
him
yeah.
on too?
Yep. Yep.
I forget his name. He was very, very good. And he gave like the most unbiased position of like how he looked at this case and why he would never have prosecuted it in the first place and what the factors were that he would have considered. I found him to be very insightful. But I want to say I only saw him once. But he was a great guest. And I think the prosecutors podcast, they're a bunch of chumps. I will now I'm gonna
Totally.
go look. Thanks for ruining my day,
Yeah.
Joan. I gotta go look.
And Sarah, one of our main mods here, she says Mike's presence has been requested at the courthouse by his mods. Oh no! If I don't go, I could get in trouble with my mods.
Well, you
I
could
guess
go, but
I know, but it's hard. It's the
if you
traffic and the timing is. It's going to be difficult. I'm telling you, it's going to be
it's
difficult
it's
for me to
it's
get there.
hard. Yeah. Well, you could always like send a body double or something like that, or send like a Mike
I think that
Crawford blow up doll.
no,
But I know
we're not.
Aiden
We're not
Aiden
doing
wants
any blow up dolls. We're not doing any blow up dolls.
no. Oh, all
It's
right.
funny.
But
Have you ever gotten those like I get these messages and these requests for like crazy shit now, like especially like interviews, like all kinds of like interview requests always come in, and then some of them are just funny. It's like usually it's like someone who's going to do wellness or like a drug discovery or a CEO type, and I'm just always like I'm not interested. And then one of the proposals lately I keep getting, I don't know if everybody's getting these, but it's like one of the sex companies. They're like, do you know what I'm talking about? They have these, they want to cast you.
yeah,
Like, are you kidding me? No, leave me alone.
I
Stop it.
love that.
I will
Yeah.
never do anything like that. I'm not.
If they cast me,
Ah,
can I
ah,
use that
that's the
casted
new thing. That's like,
can I use that decoy to just like clone
no,
myself so I can get more shit done
that's
during the
what they
day?
want. They want to like clone you somehow, like make a doll out of you. It's just like so freaking crazy. It's like,
I
no
I
way.
I live a sheltered life. I now need to
I
look
know.
into that.
I know. I'm just like, what the hell is this? This is
That's awesome. That's
I'm like
awesome.
shit that I will never do. I mean, never. Oh.
You could send a decoy to court for
No
Aiden on
dolls,
Monday.
no decoys, only the
No,
real me. No AI. I don't want them to AI me. That's another one. It's just too creepy.
it is
Too creepy.
creepy. AI
It
is a very powerful, very mysterious thing. I don't I'm curious too, and I'm afraid of seeing what AI can get away with in like 10 years, you know?
Exactly. And that's the thing. The celebrities are gonna start selling themselves for
Yeah.
money. Like you can sell your it's like, nah. Um,
Nah.
not that I'm a celeb, but I'm just saying, like some of the stuff that gets offered, it's like, no, I'm not doing that one.
Oh,
That's too
everybody.
weird.
Mike is a celeb.
No, I'm not. No.
When I
I'm
saw him
small.
2 weeks ago, the people were swarming him, and he's a real ladies' man. The ladies were they were all over him. Yeah, I was one of them, by the way.
I'm
Yeah.
blushing. Oh
Aw,
man.
you're so great, Mike.
Thank you.
And I was trying to, I wanted to mention to you, I had a question for you. Do you have any opinion on Brian Kohberger pleading? I don't know if you were following the Idaho 4 case at all, but he pled guilty today. Did
I
you
mean,
watch that?
I think it's a good thing. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna say I follow it enough to know like every detail, whether he's guilty or not. It seems like it to me. Who knows? You can never know with law enforcement, it seems like, unfortunately. But from what I've been hearing, there might have been some issues with prosecuting him. And I think the best thing for that family, even though the four families, even though some of them are upset by it and didn't want to see it because they wanted the death penalty, but especially for those victims, especially who survived, the roommates that were still in the house that time,
Right.
they've taken a lot of shit. A lot of conspiracy theories come after them and blame them for it. So I think it's
Yeah.
the best for everyone that they don't have to testify, that they don't have to go through this ordeal and worry about it, that this guy's going to get out or get not guilty. And they also don't have to worry about the ongoing conspiracy theories against a lot of the families and the victims. Because I think a lot of times fingers get pointed and there are people that get crazy about the innocent stuff. And even when it's not there. So I think it's probably the best for everybody just to have him play.
Yeah, I mean, I have mixed opinions on it, and I did pretty assiduously follow the case, but it just feels unfinished, and there will never be finality to this, and there will be more to come, post sentencing, which I think is July 22nd or 23rd. It's in the latter part of July, but no one ever gets finality or closure after these types of resolutions of cases. But as someone who follows true crime, and especially some of the most tragic and dismal cases, why I do this, I wonder, because I have a fascination with trying to figure out these mysteries, and I have an empathy and a sympathy for the families, having lost some extended family members of my own to criminal acts. I will tell you that, when you have a cold-blooded killer who was dead to rights, as far as I'm concerned, yes, he was presumed innocent until proven guilty, but my view was I had learned enough through the evidence process that was rolled out in limited fashion to say it was him. It's likely that it was him who did this, and to have him plead guilty in exchange for no death penalty to the 4 counts of murder and the 1 count of burglary, and to just be so callously, presented with the factual predicate in court today that was just laid out for him by the attorneys and the judge, and to simply give yes or no answers to the questions, it just felt dissatisfactory to me. And I'm sure it stung to the family members in different ways. Some more than others. I know there's some family members, for example, the Gonsalves family, and I didn't see how they feel, and I haven't seen their reaction, but I know they've been more fiery in terms of wanting answers and wanting justice. I imagine this feels very, very, very unfinished for them and dissatisfying. And those are understatements. But I'm interested to see if at his sentencing that he reads a statement or speaks without
To see what
reading.
he says. Yeah, to see what he
Yeah.
actually says.
And
Because
if he doesn't, that's really going to bother me. It really will. It's very sad what has happened.
I mean, it's horrible. I
Yeah.
think this is so captivating because it's 4 young beautiful people. All four of them like were attractive. Even the young man was like a good looking, and they seemed nice. Like when you see the videos and pictures of them and who they were, they seem like really nice people who were like gonna have
Yeah.
like great successful lives ahead of them. And just to see that, for what? For what? Just some kind of crazy trophy. That's what it seemed like to me,
Yeah.
that this guy, his motive was like, I'm gonna prove that I can get away with something like this and experience. Like people are really, wow. It's like
Yeah.
and I like this one too. Like I know people want the death penalty. Um, Generally, I'm against, as a principle. Like I took a logic course in college, and it totally changed my opinion on the death penalty. I went in there pro death penalty, ended up being anti death penalty at the end, and the main reasons were is because of the number one, the cost. The government it costs so much money to get after someone for the death penalty. They get so
Right.
many appeals, the amount of money, and usually the people that they actually execute are the wrong ones. Like it's never
Oh,
the person you think should get executed. It's like some guy who's like mentally ill, who didn't, whatever. There's extenuating circumstances, and also it's just like it doesn't deter anyone. There's no like life in prison is enough. And I agree with this right here, that life in prison is actually worse, I believe, and especially federal prison. Like where this guy is going, it's the hole. There's not like he's not going to have any like club fed or anything. This guy's going to
right.
be in a place that's terrible. So for me, I just, and the biggest reason I'm anti-death penalty is because innocent people have been executed. It does happen. There's no bringing them back after you do it. Innocent people have gotten let out of jail after 30 years. At least you could let them out of jail. If there was a death penalty for some of those people, that you would have never been able to fix it, and give them like a couple of years. So that's why I'm against it. And but for this guy, I would pull the thing. Like I would do it for him because of what he did. And I feel like if it was proven, like if I really knew he did it, and I feel like I don't know enough, but I feel like he probably did do it, like everything I'm looking at, and the fact that he admitted it, confessed
Yeah.
to it. But if for that type of incident, like I feel like, yeah, I would pull the thing, but I'm at the same time I'm anti-death penalty, just because I innocent people, so
Yeah.
that's just the way I feel. I feel like he's gonna have a worse life in federal prison knowing he's never getting out.
Yeah, I mean, people land on different sides of that. I'm pro death penalty. I always have been, but I recognize that the wrong people have gotten executed, etc. And I also understand the position that almost like the death penalty could be perceived as the easy way out. Let someone
Yeah,
suffer for a lifetime. I
I'd
mean,
probably rather be, yeah, than
but as far as he's concerned, I have two real overwhelming opinions, if I may share them.
yeah,
These are my opinions, but not that of the program. One is Brian Kohberger, as I put on Twitter, is a piece of shit.
yeah,
And not only is a piece of shit, the whole point to this first point I'm making is you took the lives of four young, innocent, budding students who remind me a lot of me. Like they were just at school, the world was their oyster, they were going places, they were employed, they were having fun, the world was their oyster. And you senselessly slayed them in the most just disgusting manner possible while they either slept or were winding down. And by doing that and pleading guilty to it in exchange for removal of the death penalty off of, as an option, you, sir, are a coward because you were
yeah,
happily take the lives of four individuals and to destroy their families and the security of their friends and other students and people in that community. But you are afraid of the death penalty because you didn't want to be put to death. It's like the equivalent of Ted Bundy, who I know you idolize. So you,
yeah,
Brian Kohberger, are a coward and a piece of
yeah.
shit, a la
And
Lothario.
and I'm glad you brought up the families again, because like it's not just taking those four innocent lives who had the best
Yeah.
part of their lives ahead of them, but it's how many family members have been ruined.
Oh
I
God.
guarantee some are on like drugs or alcohol, or just they're miserable. when you lose a child like that, how do you I would never get over it. How do you never get over that? I mean, that's
Yeah, you never get over it. And think about the manner in which they lost their children. So,
exactly
they're
the horror of
doing
it.
they're putting the child in an environment where children are supposed to go. Not always. You don't have to go to college, but you're
It's
sending your kid to
positive. You're
college.
giving them a positive
Right. You send your kid to college. It's a positive thing. Your child is there. Many of them were anticipating graduation, not all of them, but some of
one
them
of
were
them
about
was,
about
yeah.
to graduate, and this happens. So for those parents, like, their trust is completely destroyed. The manner in which I mean, I'm guessing, but the manner in which they treat the safety of their remaining children or family members or loved ones is probably so compromised and destroyed right now. Like, think about it. Ethan Chapin, one of the victims, he was one of three triplets. How are the parents handling the safety and well-being of the remaining two? How are the remaining two triplets feeling about their safety and stability? And it's just, you could dive into so many different.
Or even how the surviving children
Yes, yes.
start to feel like they're being ignored, by the parents because the parents are so caught up in the death of the other child, which is
Yeah.
natural. I mean, there's so much that's gonna change in their world because of this incident. That's just
Yeah,
horrible.
but it's
Just
it's
horrible.
irreparable. And then I will also say my other view, which along the progression of that case, was that I never felt that the University of Idaho properly handled its involvement in that case.
Of
It
course.
got involved. This was off-campus housing.
Yeah.
They had opinions. They were on a PR, save our neck, save our reputation
The colleges do that. They do
mission.
it.
They had a hand in, pardon my cold, but they had a hand in the destruction of the home. The home was
Leveled.
yeah, thank you. The home was leveled. God, it's got to be a year and a half ago, which I never understood why the prosecution would have agreed to that. I understood why the defense wanted that house destroyed, but the prosecution bought into it, and the University of Idaho weighed in on that, and they wanted it gone. And I understand why people feel like, yes, it's an eyesore. It brings up bad memories. It became a point of interest for people to visit. I understand all of that, but to destroy and level that home pre-trial, the University of Idaho should have never had any hand in that whatsoever in terms of a decision to do it. So, as far as the University of Idaho is concerned, I hope you've learned lessons from all of this, because look, University of Idaho, didn't do anything to cause this tragedy, but you have done everything to interfere with it and to spin the narrative ever since. So shame on you, University of Idaho. My opinion is I would never send my kid to your university because how you have poorly handled the aftermath of this tragedy. So I will get off my soapbox on that matter, and I will watch the Kohberger sentencing in the latter part of July. And I hope that coward actually looks the families in the face and tells what he did, why he did it, why he chose to senselessly end their lives, and to take ownership and not just simple one-word answers, because that could help provide a little bit, a modicum of closure, a modicum of it for the families. So clock's ticking, Kohberger. I'll be watching.
Responsibility to, like, if he thinks he's gonna profit off any of this, like, he should, own up to the fact that he's gonna give every single dollar to those families, you know what I mean? Like, because they're gonna sue him, and
Yeah,
he
he's
he
got
shouldn't
nothing.
he shouldn't try to fight anything, is what my thing is. He should be begging them, like,
Yeah,
"I'll
I
give you
mean,
everything." Welch's Emotional Support Laptop says, Nan's thoughts. This is one I want to ask you tonight. Thoughts that Morrissey recently doubled down that Sandra Birchmore self-unalived. We did an interview with Juna Perkins, who was running for
Yeah.
district attorney. She said she was at a May 1st event with Michael Morrisy. It's the Quincy Democrats caucus to decide who goes to the Massachusetts State Convention. Juna gave a little stump speech, and then Morrissy was there, and he reacted after he's watching Juna give her speech going after him. And he basically doubled down and said that he felt like the autopsy, the original autopsy that said she had unalived herself, was going to stand up. We don't have any video of it. We're trying to ask him for a comment. One of the local radio hosts, Grace Curley, has asked him for comment. So hopefully we get some kind of comment about it. What do you think about that?
If Morris, by the way, thank you, Welcher's Emotional Support Laptop. I love the handles.
Yes, me too.
Did YouTube go back to the original handles? I know they were fiddling around with screen names over the last few days, but anyway, as far as Morrissey double downing on the unaliving point for Sandra Birchmore, I am not surprised. I mean, look, he, as I've said with respect to the Commonwealth on Karen Reed's case, like they're pot committed. Like you can't come back now and say, oh, okay, yeah, now that an independent law enforcement agency has looked at this, and now that there's been at least one forensic pathological review by Michael Bodden, yes, you're right. It sure looks like there was murder involved as opposed to an unaliving. They're never, he's never going to do that. So he's pot committed. He's got to stick to this narrative. What he does, first of all, that's ridiculous. It's why he needs to resign. He doesn't just need to be voted out. He needs to resign because he has shown from what I have access to and observe as an outsider, he has shown time and time again that he's got poor instincts, poor reads on liability and criminal liability of potential defendants on cases. He allows poor investigative tactics to take place and to continue. He touts and or does not disagree with or does not prevent crappy chain of custody measures, crappy investigations of data, text messaging, all of the, what is it called? Metadata. Like he's allowing this. He's rubber stamping his approval on really crappy police investigative measures. And with Sandra's case, my observation is, and I don't think I'm alone, there's no way that people like Nicholas Guarino just missed 32 or 34,000 text messages. There's no way that they would not have appreciated the presence of Matthew Farwell in the lobby, in the lobby the night of her passing. They would have investigated that. My 12-year-old daughter would have investigated that. She would have said, look at that. Who's that person? Let's look into that. So he is showing such poor instincts as a district attorney. He needs to go. So as far as Juna Perkins is concerned, while I appreciate her efforts, and I don't see many people standing up to challenge him, keep going, girl. Stand up and stand up louder, girl. Like, do more. And to anyone else, I mean, honestly, if I lived up there, I might run and try to beat him. I'm sure the trolls would have a field day with that.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I was going to ask you that. Like, do you have any advice for Juna? Because she did recently ask for Morrissy's resignation, which I love because she put out the email, the traditional written statement, but she also did it in video format, which I had been suggesting to her that she's got to put her own videos out. She has to get some video going. And that's what she did. And that video really kind of popped. It got a lot of views on her Facebook, and we posted it too. We got a lot of views. People were into it. What would your advice to be? And maybe next time we have her on, I'm thinking I should have you on because you're an attorney to kind of, I like female to female attorney here. I like that idea. Maybe ask her a couple questions, give her a little pep talk. What do you think she should be doing? Yeah, what
I
do you think she should be doing? Like, give her some
yeah,
advice right now.
here it is, and I would welcome the opportunity to be part of a show where she's on it here. And I don't mean any offense to her when I say this. Sometimes people don't have the best election and marketing skills. Okay. So I think her instincts are good, but I think she can enhance. And how I would enhance her process is I have to criticize her. She needed to have been out there for the Karen Reed rollout, the verdict, maybe even ask if she could have gotten into court one day. I think she missed a
I think
mate.
what her issue on that is that she's still working full time. She's got her
Hey, Mike.
office she runs. I know.
Hey,
Go ahead.
Mike. I work full time. I have an office I run. It's 4.5 hours away from the Norfolk County courthouse, and I came. Okay, I'm not saying I'm a hero, but if you want to do something, you do it. So I don't want to hear if you're asking me, I don't want to hear excuses. I was saying to a close friend earlier, I'm hearing problems, not solutions. I don't want to hear excuses. And if I were a taxpayer in that county, I don't want to hear excuses from any potential candidate who is poised to out Morrisy. I don't want to hear a single excuse from that individual before an election, because if I'm hearing excuses now, then I'm going to hear excuses once they win. So what she should have done, in my opinion, and I say this respectfully in the spirit of trying to help her or any other future candidate who's going to out him, is you got to step up. And yes, to use my very cliche saying, keep showing up, because if you don't, then he controls the whole story. He's the one, he's the mainstay. He's been there for however many years. He is physically the size of Norfolk County. That's my opinion. So what needs to be done is someone needs to be outspoken, present, be willing to call a spade, be willing to very presently and with media focusing on them, indicate and criticize him and say, I can't believe we're here. I can't believe millions of dollars of taxpayer money has gone into this. I can't believe that he is allowing X, Y, and Z. I think recording videos is a good idea, but she can do so much more. So if you really want something, you go for it. Right now, the read I'm getting from her is she's a good attorney. She's got good instincts, and she needs to up her marketing game, and she needs to up it majorly and
I
quickly.
agree. I
So,
agree. Yeah, you know
I,
what? I'd say it's not too late too, because you got Aiden Carney. He's
yeah,
got a trial going on, and you also got Sandra Birchmore. So, and
yes.
especially on Sandra Birchmore, like I don't know how much media is going to be out there for Aiden. I hope a lot. I imagine some, especially when the verdicts come down. So I think on verdict day, she should be out there. She should be out there on the sidewalk and then getting that free media, and especially for Sandra Birchmore, because everybody in the world is going to be out there, standing outside on the sidewalk on the seaport there, right on that cobblestone. So I hope she shows up. I agree. I think that's
Yeah.
such an opportunity for her. And you're
And think
right. Like, you got to be able to take a couple days off. Like, seriously,
you do.
find and if you can't be there, you better get somebody who can be your spokesperson. Like somebody has to be there. Like, you
I mean,
gotta
look, if she
maybe your
wants to,
campaign. Bring your campaign there. Like, get your campaign workers. I don't know. Do something. I agree.
I, look, I don't, it's not like I'm a savior on this, but Mike, you have my permission to give her my phone number. I'd be happy to give her a pep talk. Or if I better understand her platform, I'm happy to become a little bit more outspoken on her behalf on social media. But to be honest, I would never do that unless I felt that she had a fire in her belly. And I'm not seeing it yet. There's a reason my Instagram handle is Law Furio. Law Furio is fire. I want her to show that she's got a fire in her belly, because a district attorney needs to have that fire when she's dealing with her investigators in her office, when she's dealing with the local police departments. She needs to push back. Then you add the additional layer on, Mike, of the fact that she's a female. I wish I didn't say this. I wish it didn't exist, but she is not a male. So she's going to have to stand up to many predominantly males in power positions, and she's going to need to have that fire in her belly. Right now, what I'm seeing are missed opportunities from what appears to be a skilled and competent lawyer who's willing to take her shot at disrupting Morrisy's position and outing him. But I need to see more to make me want to step up for her. And I'd be happy to talk with her. But I think, moreover, it's not just be willing to step up and not make excuses and be present, which she should have been there at least at one point for Officer John O'Keefe. She should have been there for Karen Reed, who was being sham prosecuted. And most importantly, as you were saying, for Sandra Birchmore, who is a victim and a life lost and a tremendous tragedy, who will never have the life and her child's life that was beautifully laid out before her, not to mention the complete tragedy that unfolded at the hands of the police leading up to her passing. That's just how that was completely mishandled. And that's not the right way of saying it. I mean, she was, I'm not going to get into the details, but she was treated abysmally, and it was complete. It's just disgusting what people in position in the Explorers program and police and control did to that beautiful child, who then grew up to be a woman who had her own issues. It's such a tragedy. I'm looking forward to speaking more on that case. But moving forward, Juna, however you pronounce your name, you got to step up, because once you are in position and you're going against an institution to get that position, you're going to have to keep stepping up, keep showing up. So I need to see more from her, and your constituents up there need to demand that from her. And if she is not ready, willing, and able to do it, then there needs to be another candidate to step up. There does. So I'm sorry. I'm on a ramble. I'm like hopped up on cold medication tonight. I'm sorry.
You okay? Because I know there's some concern about you being sick. They could hear it in you. How are you feeling?
I feel great. I sound like crap, but I feel great. The worst part about it is I can't run until I'm feeling better. And I can't like, I have a little side gig in music. I can't engage in vocals until I get my voice back. But
You
thanks,
have a
everybody.
side gig. Wait. You have a side gig in music. What's that about?
Well, I'm a bit of a musician. I sing. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a little hobby of mine.
What kind of music?
Oh, I do everything, rock and roll, classic rock, pop songs. I write my own songs. Yeah, I play in a lot of local bands. Like, it's just a passion.
You're in the local band scene? Wow.
Yeah, I do a lot of open mic nights. It's just a passionate interest of mine, but I won't. It's just a cold, folks. I'll get through it quickly.
I used to manage a band back in the day.
I did, yeah.
But mostly it would be like, booking gigs for them, and then showing up and helping them move their equipment, shit like that. Like,
I love that. You're like a roadie.
Yeah, in a way, like, I'm part of the crew. It's just fun. It was fun. I learned a lot.
Do you play any instruments?
No, my friends did. It's funny. Like, I met the bassist in the band. I met him at Fidelity Investments. We both were in this class together to get our Series 7, 63, the whole thing. And I realized right away, I'm sitting next to this dude. He's got long hair, and he's the only one in the class of like 25 that didn't have a degree. Like, I was like, oh, this kid's smart. And then I heard him laugh one day, and I'm like, he smokes weed. And like, I knew we were the only two like weed heads there. And so then we started hanging out, and it was true. He smoked weed. So like, we became best friends for life. Like, he's because I was like, working in the nightclubs before I through college and shit. So he knew I always knew the clubs. And that's how it started. It was like I booked him a couple shows just by people who I knew. And they were like, they came to me and they're like, dude, we have no skills at booking shows. Like, you booked our shows, like you booked us like good gigs, and like you have no experience. So why don't you just try to book some more shows for us? Here's our shit. Here's our kits. Send them out, like, you figure it out. And next thing I know, I like booked them like, everywhere. And it was, just went from there. And that's how I got involved in activism and other things too, because I booked him on like one of the biggest activist events around, the Hemp Fest, and I got involved in that, and then that led to journalism, and then that led to reporting and shows, and yeah,
That's
that's kind of like
awesome.
how I started. Actually, it's so weird. So
You're good
music
at
got me going, and
you're
my
good at
girlfriend,
booking.
she's a big music person. Like my girlfriend did a local music show for basically like 30 years here in
Oh,
Boston, and
nice.
she's kind of known for it, and yeah, she's like a local music legend. So between the two of us, we have all of our friends are like in bands and music. We booked a lot, and yeah, so
That's
we love artists.
awesome. Do
Neither
you
one of us are musicians, though.
I was gonna say, do you play instruments like
No, we
I
just helped out the bands. Basically, we did the promo and the get them on the radio. That's how I met her. I was trying to get my band that I was managing on her show.
man,
So
that's awesome. Yeah,
yeah.
like I definitely I've always loved music. Like it started when I was younger. I was singing in chorus and I was singing I had some leads in our school plays. And then from a pretty young age, I guess maybe 5 or 6, I started playing piano. I had piano lessons. When I was 10, I started guitar lessons and violin lessons. So I play the piano, the guitar, and the electric violin, and I love it. Yeah, it's so
I
much
love it.
fun.
Music is
Um,
awesome. I
yeah,
love
and it's
music.
a good
I love
outlet for
musicians.
me.
Yeah, it's the best. I'm envious because I was a kid in like music class in like second grade. The cool music teacher, like we had the guy who was like pumping Creedence Clearwater Revival
Yeah,
to us like second graders, and like we're doing Proud Mary. Like he's like the
I love
cool
that.
hip music teacher, and he looked at me in the chorus and he said, "You're tone deaf. Stop singing."
Oh shit. Yeah, no. Well,
And that was the end of my music dreams. But I've always been like someone who like still loves music, so I'd help like promote it and programming and book it. The thing I love to do is like my claim to fame in the music scene was like I booked the best shows. I kept like made them events, just kind of like I
yeah,
do here. I love programming like the best guests, and it's the
you're
same
very
thing.
good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Programming is I'm better at programming than I'm probably as a host, honestly.
and what I love that we chat about personal stuff and our and business stuff during. I always feel like I'm just talking to an old friend, a young old friend, a Gen Xer when we're hanging out
Yeah, we
together,
got
Mike.
10X together.
And when I was younger, well, no, that's not true. When my children were born, I used to sing like classic rock songs to them. Um, it's as lullabies, and they just love that. So I would always sing to them when I was putting them to sleep or nursing them. So they have a love of music now. So they'll always say, "Hey, when are you going out? When are you going to be playing?" So it's a wonderful part of our life. Like a month or two ago, my daughter surreptitiously recorded me playing the piano, and I was playing a song, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't know. But she told me after the fact, and she said, I'm so proud of you, mommy. And I was like, oh my God. It's just a great it's a little side gig of mine, little passions.
Now the audience wants you to sing for a second. Can you
Are you
sing
kidding?
like even
No,
one note, or is that too much to put you? You're sick. That's
I
too
am
much.
unwell.
We're
Yeah.
not doing that. That's no number
I
one. The
wouldn't,
pressure.
by the way, I wouldn't do that for the trolls either, because
Yeah.
I will let everyone know you're not going to find anything online about me singing. And when I go out, I sing under a pseudonym, because I will not. I'm always afraid like a client is going to see
Find it.
me. Yeah, client or a troll. Like, nah. So,
No, you do it for fun. You do it for
yeah,
what it feels good.
yeah.
I love it. I love that you have different hobbies and you run. I would run with you definitely. I would.
Oh,
I'd probably need to run.
are you a
I used to
runner?
run all the. I used to be. Like I've got back issues, so and plus I walk dogs so much. I don't like to do anything after work. But I probably should start working out again. Like I used to be a big runner, lifting weights. Like I was an athlete.
You're
I
pretty
my
jacked.
whole thing until I was like 22. Like my whole thing. Well, actually, even before that, I'd say like age 20, I had to give it up. But like not like not give up like working out, but like give up like when I was 20. My goal in life is Olympics. I want to be an Olympic wrestler, and I just kept having surgeries. And it was like my parents came to me and were like, all right, you're gonna have to drop out of school if you continue to have surgeries every year. We can't afford it. We can't afford it.
Yeah.
So
Well, I met you in person, and I will tell you, you're like very jacked, broad shoulders, like all the ladies out there. You're missing out. Like he's a tall glass of water. I'm
Oh my
definitely was
gosh.
very impressed. Um, yeah.
I still got
So
skinny legs though, I still got and people are like, "You don't what did you skip leg day?" It's like, "No, actually, I was a
chicken
track guy too."
legs,
I used to be
chicken
like 2 I
legs.
used to do around the 100, 200 yards. I was 200, I had a school record at one point. It got broken, it wasn't that big of a deal. But, like, my family, my mom has those, like, skinny, long legs, and that's what I got. So, you know, a
That's
lot of times,
awesome.
like, in the beginning of wrestling, they were like, "This kid's not gonna be good. Look at his legs," and it was like, I got the long arms too. They call me the rope man because I lasso them in. You know what I mean? They
I
couldn't.
love that. I
So
love
like
that about
they gave
you.
me the name Rope Man. They couldn't stop my takedowns, but it's funny because I would do a lot of leg presses, but I got the skinny legs no matter what.
Yeah, mine are pretty skinny, and mine are pretty pale. No matter how much, like I don't go in the sun anymore because all I do is I get like the Irish sunburn or suntan, whatever they call that. But I got the skinny white legs myself. No
I
matter how
think
much I run.
A lot of Irish people have that. I think I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a thing in my family too. I notice everyone's got the skinny legs. Even all my it's both sides, my mom and my dad's side. So
yeah, like it's just it's the our lot in life. Oh
yeah.
well, at least my dermatologist thinks I have like perfect skin because I very rarely go in the sun. And oh, that reminds me, one of the last streams I was on of yours, somebody had asked in the chat, like, does Nan have tattoo sleeves? She's always wearing long sleeves under her t-shirts. And no, I do not. No,
No
I do not.
sleeves.
I'm
No
usually
tattoo sleeves.
cold. People thought I was like covering up tats. No, I have a tattoo, but they're not tattoo sleeves up
That's
my
why
arms.
I'm always long sleeves in the videos here because it's
It's
usually cold
cold.
in the room I'm in. It's like we
Yeah.
have central air and other rooms are hotter. You know how like you have the different yeah. So,
Yeah.
but today it's even hot down here. I mean, I'm probably gonna have to blast. I'm gonna turn up that AC so high as soon as this is over.
Yeah. Well,
But
anything else you guys want to ask? I don't know if you have super
yeah,
chats or you want
I
to
love
ask
talk.
anything.
I love we're getting to talk about ourselves.
Me too. And by the way, guys, that's what your audience should like that too. Whether you're
Yeah,
talking about
they
me
like
or
it. They're loving it.
it's
They're
one of
loving it.
those things that this is why I love watching YouTube. I love learning about the content creators, and when I can read the chat, learning a little bit about
Right.
viewers. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
It's funny too, because like my brother and I were pretty good athletes, but everybody in my family was a good athlete, and nobody would ever be as good as my grandfather. Like when you look
No.
at him, it's like he was like the state best at everything. He got every award you could imagine. So it's funny in my family, everyone's just a good athlete. It's just genes.
Yeah, I mean, my kids are both stellar softball, baseball players, and my son also plays football, and he has started basketball. They're budding athletes. My daughter is actually plays for the United States national softball team. I'm going to be down in Florida watching her later this month. I'm really proud of her for making
Yeah,
that team the second year in a row. But I'm
is
not
that
much of an
US?
athlete other than a
That's
runner.
like USA. What is it? USA softball.
USSSA. Yeah.
Ah, wow.
Yeah, she's a badass. She's very, very good. She plays catcher. I'm so proud of her. And my son is a pitcher for that's his signature position. He's a great pitcher for a 10-year-old. My whole basement is unfinished, and we turned it into like a pitching mound, batting cages. It's like
How
basically
lucky is he?
oh,
That's
he
a dream.
loves it.
That would have been my dream when I was a
Well, you know
kid.
what's and you know what it
Oh,
is because we don't live in like Florida where you can play all seasons. So
right,
because I put this in the
right.
basement, now the
Yeah,
kids can play these sports and train during the winter
I
months
love it.
when other kids in our community are not, and my kids are now keeping up with the kids who are playing
Well, yeah, that's how
elsewhere.
you catch
Yeah.
up. I used to do USA wrestling all around all season. My friend, one of my friends, a college friend, he was a North Reading baseball player, and I when I hung out with him because he was a wrestler too. I knew him from high school wrestling actually, but he was telling me, I'm like, how is this little town so good at baseball every year? And he's like, because we got the stuff. indoors where we can play all season. I was like, oh, so that's what
Yeah.
it is. A lot of times, if you give the kids like that year-round thing, they can pick up a
Yeah.
lot, definitely.
It's fun.
That
It's
that
fun.
was the best
Yeah.
thing my coach did for me. He used to drive us to every tournament every weekend, during the spring and summer, so we'd be wrestling all year.
I love that. I love that. We have a lot of
Yeah,
close.
keeps kids out of trouble too. That's the big that was the most important thing for me anyway, is keeping me out of trouble because I was a troubled kid, definitely
I
not a
definitely.
model.
I think the effects of sports on children's demeanor, their activities, their social circles, there's statistics that keep them off of drugs and alcohol. It's just it builds their confidence. I'm all for that. And I definitely would recommend that to any one of your viewers who's starting families
It
or has
feels
young children.
I think the big thing for me, like as a child, it filled time. Because if I
Yeah.
wasn't playing baseball or wrestling or whatever, I'd be getting into trouble during those 2 to 3 hours after school. So, I mean, that's another one, just the basics of filling time. And
Filling
also
time.
it also keeps you, especially for me, this is the big thing is, there became a certain point where I had to choose the coach or fucking around. And it
Yep.
was like, and I had chosen effing around a couple times, and I disappointed my coach.
Yeah.
And it was like, "You know what? I'm not effing around anymore. This means a lot to him, and he invested in me, and he's a hard ass, and this
Yeah.
dude is New England champ, and I'm invested in myself and invested in him." So, that's what the importance of, like, coaches too. I just love coaches because sometimes when the parents can't reach you, the coach can, you know?
Yeah.
So,
And I love that my children in different seasons have said, I don't like this coach, or we lost this game because the coach or player A, B, or C did this. And I say, stop making excuses. Did you play your best? And if they
yeah,
can't answer that yes, then you need to work on you.
yeah,
I'm supportive, but you have to stop blaming other people for
totally.
shortcomings,
It's
and you will
on
always
you.
have different teams. Like I try work very hard to find my children competitive teams to play with so they get better.
Yeah.
And I hope that carries with them throughout their lives. Everyone needs to be challenged. Everyone should try to surround themselves with people who are better than them or smarter than them. Even the best leaders in the world will say, and didn't like Steve Jobs say, or someone said, like, don't be the smartest person in the room. Surround yourself by people who are smarter or better than you.
Better.
And I love that. I love that mentality. I think there's so many different ways you can metaphorically apply that, even to some of the cases and the shortcomings of the cases that we
Environment means
discuss.
everything.
Yeah.
Environment means everything. I
Yeah.
mean, my first few years, they thought I was slow actually because my environment wasn't good and I was behind. My younger brother was communicating for me, and then all of a sudden, my whole life environment changed. And, like, I remember 2nd grade, I tested they were like they brought me from special ed to the advanced class because they were like, "This kid
Wow.
scored 2nd highest in the class." Because I had a stepfather that gave me books every day and said, "Read,
Yeah.
read, read," and I loved reading. I was like, "Oh my god, oh my god." So, like, I caught up and, like, passed everyone. It was environment and that the whole thing with the coach too, like,
Yeah.
I always I don't think he gets it because when we see him, how a lot of us, like grown men, were like, Ton Madigan. Also Von Hain too, one of the greatest wrestlers ever in high school. But Con Madigan, man, he was like a coach that meant a lot to me and a lot of us. It just when you have someone on that level that believes in you, means a lot. That's why I love coaches and teachers and music whoever,
Yeah.
whatever kids are into, it means a lot.
Oh man, I love the life lessons. We're spitting life lessons tonight, Mike. I think that's great. And I think as someone who views your channel and your streams regularly, I think that it's a nice diversion to not like, oh, Nan
Yeah.
wants to talk about herself. I think it's nice subject matter
Oh,
to
because
talk
we're
about.
always talking about the case, and people do
Yeah,
wanna hear
just
about us, actually.
uplift
I've
people.
realized that, it's funny because I was, hanging out with some different creators and YouTubers, over the last year or so, and just
Yeah.
hearing some of them, and just some of their people too, like some of the people that we see that love us, and a couple of them were like, just fans. They were like, "Mike, a couple times you told us a little more about you, and I just want." we want to hear more about you. You got to tell more about
Yes.
yourself. And it kind of just, I was like, oh yeah, you're right. I should talk more about myself. I don't.
Yeah. It makes for a more intimate experience as a viewer. Like now I know, oh, okay, I know this about Mike. I know that about Mike. So now I analytically will draw upon your experiences when I listen to your views or the questions that you ask. And this is something that people don't get from mainstream media. How much does anyone know about Vinnie Politan, for example, or
Nothing. Except
one of
all
the
I know is he's a former prosecutor. That's all I
yeah,
know. That's all I know about Vinny. Uh,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think it's at this point, I understand why people want to know more about us because we've been doing this for a while and they've been watching us. So it's good to, to share a little bit at this point, I
Yeah.
think. I
Oh,
want to
what
thank Melanie Little's awesomeness and left swipe says, Nan, you are on fire tonight. I'm loving it. You are amazing. You got some big
Thank you
fans
so
here.
much. I appreciate that, guys. Always like to be an honorary jerk. Whenever
Yeah.
Mike asks, I come. I love it. Thank you.
It's Laura asked me to talk about let you know that I know John Cena. I think I've mentioned that so many times on the show that it's become a kind of a ridiculous joke. I don't really know John Cena though. I met him once. I met him one time,
Did
but I
you?
know, yeah. But you know who I knew was his brothers. His younger brothers used to wrestle at the rival high school that I went to, and they weren't when I was in high school. They weren't in high school. They're younger than me. What happened is I came back to coach after college. When I graduated college, I coached at one of the high schools that was in the same league as them, Hamilton Wenham, as assistant coach for a year. One of the seniors brothers at that year was at Pentucket, so we used to be in the same league. And then the next year, I went back to my high school, which is the true rival of Pentucket. We play them on Thanksgiving Day. My high school is Triton High School. And I coached there for 3 years, and again, I was our team was always wrestling against those two Cena brothers at Pentucket High School, the younger brothers of John Cena. And during the off season, I used to substitute teach over there at Pentucket actually. So I was a teacher kind of at the high school where they were at, and I used to coach against them. And then in the off season, we used to wrestle. I used to practice, so I used to wrestle uh, two of the Cena brothers all the time. They're great kids. I know the whole family. John never wrestled in high school. He played football. But the day I met him, it was the day I blew up my back. The day that my
Oh,
wrestling really ended, and John and his brother carried me to the car that day. That was the day I met John Cena, and he was at college. He was in college at the time, and he was playing football in college. So he was working out in the other gym next door, and he had come in from that gym into the gym where we were wrestling, and he saw me, and they both carried me in my car, and they were like, you sure you don't want us to call an ambulance? You sure you don't want us to bring in Anna Jakes? And I'm like, no, I'll be all right. I'll be all right.
oh
I
my
couldn't even imagine.
God. My
So
son
that's the
idolizes
one time I
him.
met. But my cousins hang out with him. Like they've been to the mansion apparently.
Oh,
Yeah,
really? My
yeah,
son
and
absolutely idolizes John Cena.
yeah, he's a
So,
great
and
guy. I love the whole family. And I got to say, one of the things I like about John was all the stuff like hustle and all that stuff. But he
yeah.
had this gym in Florida called Hard Knocks. I think it was Hard Knocks Florida or Hard Knocks South, and that's based on the old gym, and that's where I think like I actually probably met him more than once because we used to always all of us used to work out at this little hole in the wall called Hard Knocks Gym in Amesbury. It was like $20 a month, and it was like the worst, like hardest gym you've ever seen. It was so small. It was like where the real hardcore guys go. Like
Sounds like something
people
out
would
of Rocky, you
yeah, it
know?
really was. People, the rich people would go to like Gold's Gym, like they go to the more
Mhm.
expensive place. The real hardcore people go to Hard Knocks, and it was just like, and they would give you a key. So like we'd be in there like a night like tonight when it's 100 degrees. We'd go in and no air conditioning. They just have
Oh,
fans. We'd go in there at like 11 o'clock at night. You got a key, no one to
yeah,
be in there,
yeah.
and you just be lifting, And
I
the
would love
Cena
that.
brothers, I remember seeing the Cena brothers. I don't know if John was there then, probably, but I definitely saw the other Cena brothers. So he had his own Hard Knock South. He brought it to Florida, which I thought was pretty funny. It's like, yeah, I get it, like
That's awesome. Yeah, I
he doesn't
definitely like, I
forget
would
where he
love
came
that.
from. Yeah,
I would love
I,
to be working out in a gym like that where, like, it's really bare bones. I love the
It's
Rocky
like one of those
movies.
ones that's like this. It's just like
Yeah.
it's not even. It had one bathroom. In the bathroom, Dave would have on the wall. It'd be like, uh, tissue. Tissue is for the toilet, not your face, a-hole.
Oh
Like
my
it's like
God.
it'd be like, bring your own towel. Like, don't use our tissue for your face. Like, it's
That's
so funny.
awesome.
And like, have you paid your dues this month? Like, and
Yeah.
then it'd have like a
Yeah.
list of the names if you hadn't paid your dues and they had found out you'd been in there.
That's awesome. And I mean, I think, and I have a tremendous respect for people who get up and work out or stay up late and work out when no one's watching. Like that's when I go and run.
Hard Knocks Gym in Amesbury. It's legendary. I love that. I don't know if it's still around, but Dave Knox was the guy who ran
I
it.
gotta
Another
look.
great guy, another legend.
That's awesome.
Helped a lot of athletes out too. Helped a lot of kids. That's what I liked about it. It was affordable. We could all afford to go there, unlike other gyms.
Oh yeah, but like a gym is a gym. So like
Oh yeah.
no disrespect to people who pay more money and go to bougie gyms.
Oh
Like
yeah.
you just need some basic equipment, or to be put in certain environments where you can work yourself out. Like I just recently discovered wall Pilates. All you need is a wall to do it. Like I
Exactly.
just started it because I have a pretty bad back. We'll see how that goes. I do need to build strength. But you don't need to have really exceptional gym equipment to get a good workout.
No
Uh,
way.
and
No.
I
No,
do
you
love getting up, and that's why I'm bummed that I'm sick. I do love getting up in the early morning hours and hitting the pavement. But I won't do
love it.
that until I'm feeling better. But it's just a cold, so we'll be fine in a few days. Yeah. And to
Excellent.
anyone
Well,
up there who I canceled plans with, I'm very sorry. You don't want to catch this. It'll ruin your 4th of July. And to all of your audience, by the way, happy 4th. Have a safe and healthy 4th of July weekend. Celebrate, watch some fireworks. Think of John O'Keefe. Think of Karen Reed. Think of Just en Route and Sandra Birchmore, and hopefully how you'll pop off some more fireworks if Morrisy gets voted out, and all the stuff that is to come. Hopefully improved policing in the local departments and at the state level. Like there's so much to be optimistic for. So oh, look at that. There you go. Yeah, I got you into fitness. Well, hopefully you stick with it. Just keep showing up and do your best for you when no one's watching. Someone once said to me, if you make a promise to yourself, keep it. So if you say, I'm going to get healthier, or I'm going to learn how to run, I'm going to learn how to put myself first. Like I value that. And that's why I try to do that. I promised myself I was going to lose weight and get healthier for myself, for my kids. And I did it. And I'm really excited about, the type of message that sends my children, how much better, illness aside, how much better I feel. And, it helps me clear my head every day and allows me to give better analysis like I'm giving you. Thank you. Thank you.
too. You just feel better.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for being here tonight. I'm trying to think if there's anything. Oh, you know what? There was one more thing. Yuri.
Yeah.
Yuri is now being called as a witness in this Brian Walsh case. I was thinking about playing some video from like a hearing recently, but I don't think I'm going to get into it tonight.
Yeah.
What are
Well,
your thoughts on this? Because there's a lot of issues about they searched when they weren't supposed to search. They were only
Yeah.
supposed to have a limited search. There seems like there's some issues with when they wrote reports. They
Yeah.
did do some things right, like separate people apparently. So that's interesting. But what are your general thoughts about this Brian Walsh thing? Is he going to get away with it because Yuri and all these incompetent state police?
Yeah. So here's an offer to you, by the way, Mike. If at any point and you may not need me to do it, but if at any point you wanted to view videos and get more of a like a
Vibe on it.
real-time contemporaneous analysis of some of the issues involving the Brian Walsh case, always ask. I'm always happy to dance with you with these types of things. But big picture with regard to the Brian Walsh case, yeah, it's really concerning to me that some of the police missteps in terms of looking beyond what search warrants permitted, procuring search warrants after they started looking into like telephones and electronics to kind of shore up their case after they started delving into these electronic devices and attorney-client communications, etc. You've got issues of proper, at least to some degree, proper separation of witnesses in how they're investigated. But you have prior instances, sorry for glitching, you have prior instances like in Karen Reed where the same officers didn't follow proper protocols. So now these officers moving forward in Brian Walsh's trial are now going to be faced with, if the judge allows it, cross-examination where the defense attorney for Walsh is going to say, but like, look at this other case. Did you do this in this case? Did you not properly document this? Did you not have good chain of custody on that? So because there has been missteps in prior cases like Karen Reed's case, and now there are new missteps in the Brian Walsh investigation that led to his arrest, these investigators and officers are now subject to vulnerability in the cross-examination process. So it makes the prosecution of Brian Walsh a little bit harder, a little bit more of a challenge. It also gives an opportunity for the defense to be like, yeah, look, see, these are bad officers. They don't do things right. They miss steps. I mean, and right now, I believe, if I understand the chronology, on over a 2-day, I think it was a 2-day period in the latter part of May, and then during the week of the Karen Reed verdict, there was like a motion to suppress evidence in Brian Walsh's case concerning some of the really inculpatory evidence that was procured by the police on electronic devices as to Brian Walsh. So I think that I'm not sure if that hearing finished. I think it finished, and the judge has to make a decision as to whether she is going to exclude some really inculpatory evidence that would very much help prove that Brian Walsh likely killed his wife. You've got likely delving into some of the personal inappropriate pictures or personal pictures of the wife. I forget her name, Mrs. Walsh, who is presumed to be deceased. I think she was presumed. Was she found? I don't know if they found her body. I apologize. But we have officers delving into phones looking for, were they looking for nudes? Were they looking for inappropriate pictures? Were they talking amongst themselves in a manner that is unacceptable, a la Proctor? You've got Buchanan, who, from what I observed during the hearing, first the motion to suppress, Buchanan came across as a completely different witness. He made unbelievable or incredible statements on the stand in the Walsh motion to suppress. In that hearing where the judge is doing the right thing, she's trying to flesh out whether or not certain inculpatory evidence was properly procured and obtained by the police. And that will, we have a saying in law, the fruit of the poisonous tree. If certain evidence is procured by law enforcement in a way that far exceeds probable cause, if it far exceeds a search warrant that is obviously approved by a judge, if they procure evidence that was before a search warrant was issued by a judge, then that evidence is at risk to be suppressed or excluded from evidence at trial, which means some of the evidence that is really, really problematic for Brian Walsh will not go before a jury. That's if this judge chooses to suppress that evidence. And that evidence is wide-ranging. Things like Google searches about how to decompose and destroy bodies, hide bodies. Google searches about divorce, etc. I'm going by memory. But in addition to all of the Google searches, there were other things on these electronics that maybe these inept and poorly trained law enforcement officers found improperly that the judge may exclude. And therefore, because of their utter incompetence, I mean, these are officers, some of whom have been working for 20 plus years, who tout their experience, who declare themselves kings of the universe, who pat each other on the back and say, we're the best, who, when they get into trouble, lose a few days of vacation time, or, they get slaps on the wrist for real incompetence in terms of discipline. But because of all of that, it's possible that the wife, and I apologize, I don't remember her name,
Anna.
her
Anna.
Hannah,
Anna. A-N-A.
thank you. Sorry,
Anna.
the ears are clogged. Anna Walsh
Walsh.
may not get justice. So that's another rant for me tonight. I know I'm hopped up on medication, but I have to tell you guys, if you're not following the Brian Walsh prosecution, if you're not following that matter, you should be, because it's the same players. You've got Buchanan, you've got Guarino, you've got Fanning. I forget if there's more. This is all thematic. It's all interconnected. And you're going to start to see themes of both incompetence, overindulgence, and overzealousness in how they investigate and what they overlook. But you're also going to see trends on inconsistencies in how these officers testify. So they're going to testify one way in Brian Walsh as to steps they took and measures that were in place, but they testified a different way in Karen Reed's matter. All of that shows that they are unbelievable and incredible witnesses. And that is a travesty to Anna Walsh. It's actually a disservice to Brian Walsh if he needs any service offered to him. I think he did it, but he deserves a fair trial. The Constitution says that, and then it will ultimately waste taxpayer dollars. So that's all.
Anna and her kids. We did put a link out. If anyone wants to call in through StreamYard, you can jump on. You don't have to turn on your video. I do have one person, Laura, here, and I was going to let Nan go pretty soon because we're over 2 hours at this point.
Folks.
But Laura, we can definitely bring you up, but you have to unmute. There you go. She just did.
Let me try to change my ring light because I'm starting to glow like Plevin. That's what happens when the sun goes down. Give me 1 second. That's too bright.
Right. Laura, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. I just had the mic muted because, dogs will be dogs.
Oh, okay.
I just
Laura.
Hi, Nan. I just wanted to say that I really admire you, and in many ways, you remind me of myself. I was born in New York, but I grew up in Puerto Rico. Yo sé que también hablas español.
Oh, yo hablo español. Yo estudié en Sudamérica en 1997.
Wow.
Very well. I grew up in Puerto Rico until I was 15, so
nice.
Hard
That's
not
awesome.
to pick it up, right?
Yeah.
But you also remind me of myself because I'm kind of tiny and I always wear long sleeves, and I live in Arizona now, and people are always saying, like, why do you wear long sleeves? Aren't you hot? I'm like, because
I'm cold.
I hate the sun burning me. I don't want to be burned all the time.
Me too. You're like a porcelain doll, I'm sure. That's awesome.
Exactly. Like growing up in Puerto Rico and Arizona, you're bound to get skin damage.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Be careful. Protect your skin.
But my question to you about all of this is, I know there's a difference between things being reported and documented and stuff as opposed to being admitted into court. So the question about the proof that Aiden Carney has that Morrisy colluded to frame him to be arrested for, assault and whatever the charge was against what he calls the fake victim. Once he has his trial, what kind of spotlight or trouble is that going to bring on Morrisy? And can that be the thing that does him in?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, that's a great question. So it's definitely, so I don't know all that Aiden Carney has information on, and he obviously is keeping it close to the vest as to what he has to show that he was somehow targeted by Morrisy. But if I mean, this can all come out. Whatever Aiden has will hopefully come out at trial. I mean, he's not talking about it because of strategic reasons and gag orders, etc., and obviously the advice of his counsel. But ultimately, if depending on how it resolves, how these matters resolve for Aiden, and assuming he doesn't take pleas, and maybe he's, I mean, not maybe, hopefully he's acquitted of charges, all of them that are still pending against him, the evidence can reveal itself. It can certainly be revealed, and Morrisy is going to have to face the limelight if it does come into play, whether pre or post acquittal for Aiden, that he somehow had a hand in targeting Aiden to retaliate against him or to silence him for his outstanding and loud voice as it relates to Karen Reed. We'll have to wait and see. Although I don't know the trial schedule for Aiden Carney's charges, and I don't know when the election is, Mike, for Morrisy. Is it like November? But
it's August of 2026, and Aiden's trials will probably be early 2026, is what I'm guessing.
Okay. I was going to
So they
say,
probably
like,
will be over by then. They probably should be over by then.
Yeah.
The
I know
election's
that
over a year away, and that's the primary. That's what matters the most. Democratic primary. I would love to see a Republican or independent run against Morrisy too, but we know whoever wins that primary is going to be elected.
yeah.
I guess it's coming from reports that they have his emails from his private email account, not his
Yes,
work
cheesy
email that
banana.
he used for work. And
Yeah.
that
Cheesy banana.
once those come out, like, I don't know how he can
Continue.
escape
Right.
proof that he committed crimes.
Yeah, I agree. And also, how about the fact that during the course of Karen Reed's, the progression to Karen Reed's trial 2.0, we had Brennan, who I think he was permitted to review Morrisy's emails. Like, that was, I know he offered, or I don't know if it was ordered, but he offered to the judge, I'm
right.
going to review.
I'm going to be the one that goes through them. Yeah.
Yeah, like that in and of itself is not only a conflict, they should have had something called a special master or some third party go through Morrisy's emails to determine if there was or was not inappropriate communications. It's trending towards the fact that cheesy banana, or there's at least some mishandling of information or dissemination of misinformation on the part of Morrisy as it relates to Aiden. I have a feeling Aiden has some of it and his attorneys have some of it, but it all hasn't been revealed yet. But once it does get revealed, if the community up there is not at that point demanding for him to step down and resign, then I kind of blame the community. You got to step up. If that comes out, and not you, Laura, in particular, but you know,
politicians,
right?
The politicians and media, the big Boston media.
Yeah,
What are they doing? I mean, I'm glad Juna Perkins has done it, but where are the rest of them?
Yeah.
You know, it's a groundswell. You know, we need force multiplication up there. We need people, not just boots on the ground. You know, what's the saying? The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
We need the governor to step up. Thank you, Laura, for calling in. Do you have any final thoughts or follow up? Because we do have to get going.
I appreciate what you said, and especially with Brennan trying to get Aiden and Karen's private messages and that hearing that they were having for Aiden when her defense team came in and put it into that. He's trying to do that while at the same time being the holder of the records of Morrisy's emails is so conflicting.
Right.
So I guess I'll leave it at that. They need to do an audit.
Yeah.
And an audit done by somebody who doesn't have a vested interest in writing a nice report.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Go there.
They
can hire me if they want to hire me. I'll do it.
There.
Yeah.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you, Laura. Sorry, I didn't mean to be so abrupt with her. Sometimes
That's
I hit the
okay.
button too early, but she was great. Scott McGinnis says Meatball is Captain Ahab chasing the Noah in Turtle Boy. So it's like it's just
Yeah.
like that book Moby Dick, right?
Yeah, I love it.
Meatball
And
is the captain of Moby Dick.
I love that. And hey, Scott, how are you? I hope to see you soon. I was gonna
And
try to
yeah,
find you this week, but I got
and
sick.
yeah, and Moby Dick too. Captain Ahab doesn't win; he loses. The whale wins that one. So if
But Scott's
Turtle
so
Boy is the
right.
whale, he's gonna win. You're right, Scott. I think you're right too. That's exactly how it's gonna turn out.
And Scott is so right because there is a literary meaning to all of this. There's such a symbolism to what Aiden Carney is going through and being faced with. And I'm going to strongly support him as I have, and I will continue to do that moving forward. And I feel very optimistic that he will be fully vindicated.
Excellent. And do you have any final thoughts or anything else you want to share tonight that we didn't get to share?
No, just that my cold medicine is starting to wear off.
We're
But
gonna let you go then.
and I was very opinionated. I was very opinionated and this evening, so I thank you for letting me get on my soapbox. But
Oh, we love
I
it. We love when
would
you show your opinion. You're great. Thank you for
thank
being here.
you. I love always talking to you, Mike. I love your audience.
Oh,
I welcome any opportunity to be an honorary jerk. And for anyone who is interested, like I'm probably going to be up for anyone local who's interested, I'm going to try to come up sometime. It's probably going to be in August after some family events and travel and work travel I have planned. But to all of you, have a very happy and healthy and safe 4th of July. And if you want to come see my snarkiness, I'm on X at Lawferio.
Lothario.
And then I have a Facebook page, like an actual page, not my personal one. I keep saying it and people keep sending me friend requests. I have a personal Lawferio page, and that's where I put my opinionated views. But thank you all, and Mike, all the best to you. And
You
I'll see
too.
you all soon.
Yes, and if you come up to Massachusetts, come up to the North Shore too. I'd love to just show you around up
Absolutely.
here too. Yeah.
I would love that. That
Awesome.
sounds fun. I'll go anywhere. And I would love to
Awesome.
see you again, maybe take you out for a cocktail or dinner. And I would welcome that opportunity. So thanks, guys. Have a great night.
You too. Thank you, Nan Gallagher, attorney Nan Gallagher, Lothario. Follow her on social media on Twitter. And again, she's also on Facebook, Lothario. Thank you so much, Nan
Night,
Gallagher.
guys. Bye.
Bye now. That was great. I want to thank everyone who's been watching and chatting. Hate Corruption says, "Hey, Mike, did you hear about the Boston lieutenant who got clinked yesterday for, you know what, on a 12-year-old boy? Texts were found, him offering money for sex. This can't be his first. I know. That guy had been there for decades, too. So you just wonder all the shit he's gotten away with. And it just seems to be a theme with the Boston police. If you look into Patrick Rose, he's a former Boston police officer who ended up running the Patrolmen's Association, the union for the Boston police. He got yanked too for the same stuff. It seems there's been so much stuff. We started a new Facebook group today, actually, called Massachusetts Law Enforcement Corruption, I believe it is, something like that. Look it up. Please join it. We're going to be covering everything. We're just going to stay on Massachusetts. People keep asking us, are we going to follow other cases? I mean, maybe a little bit. Like we did a little live today on what was going on with the Brian, the guy who killed the 4 in Idaho. We just put the little live stream up because I know people were interested in that today. But for the most part, we're going to stick with what's going on in Massachusetts because there's so much here. This is where we're from. This is the inside track for us, and it's what I care most about. So we're going to continue to cover Karen Reed, Sandra Birchmore, any of the other scandals. It's like a new scandal every day. There was just a shooting, a cop on cop shooting in North Andover. You saw that one this week. There's been so much. Annie L said stairs are great. Oh, we used to run the stairs. That used to be our big thing, wrestling practice. We'd run the stairs. I love the stairs. That was where I would excel. I would pass people on the stairs. I've never been one that pushed though. When I was younger, the older kids used to push you. I didn't like that. I thought that was unsafe. Never push people downstairs, even if you're passing them. But I love running the stairs. That was my big thing. Even in college, I used to run we used to have these stairs that went over the railroad tracks at Bridgewater State. I'd always be running those stairs. A couple more things came in. Here's a question that came in from Welch's Emotional Support Lapdog says, is she the same party as Morrisy? You're talking about Juna Perkins. Yes, she is. They're both Democrats. Does she have to primary him? That's exactly what she's doing. August primary. Right now, there's 4 candidates in that primary, as far as I'm concerned. One is Michael Morrisy, unless he announces he's not running, which could happen, but he could also run. The other is Juna Perkins. The other is, I believe, Craig McClellan is his name. He's a former prosecutor too. Those are like, I really think it's, if nobody else runs, if it's only those 4 candidates, I feel like it's going to be between Juna Perkins and the other guy, the former prosecutor. There's also apparently a public defender that's going to run as well as a 4th candidate. So that's what the announced candidates are right now on the Democratic side. And whoever wins that primary is going to be elected, in my opinion. I'm definitely interested if there's any Republicans or any independents running. I definitely have them on the show as well. But that primary is going to be the one. That's going to be what's most important. And I feel like Juna Perkins is leading it. I know Nan had a little criticism about some of her media, and she could be better at campaigning. She should be showing up more. I agree. I'm 100% with it. But at the same time, she's also the front runner, in my opinion. And what I liked about Nan's criticism and kind of critique of the campaign, that it was very accurate. Like, I would, if I'm analyzing, I would say that would be the weakness of Juna Perkins, is maybe not as strong or as polished of a campaigner or as a politician. That's kind of what I like about her, honestly. What I like about her is that she'll show up in this space and answer all the questions. Nothing is off limits. Nothing is scripted. Nothing is even pre-planned. And I have to also say, Nan was right on the spot where she said she's a experienced, qualified attorney, which she is. That is the strength of Juna Perkins. She has prosecutor experience and defense experience. So Nan was on the mark tonight, definitely on that end too. But I still think, in my opinion, if I had to bet on it right now, and let's just say nobody else enters the race, I'd say Juna Perkins is the favorite actually to be elected, which is very strange when you're going up and against an incumbent. But the incumbent is Michael Morrisy, and his approval rate is in single digits. So she's the strongest campaign. I think she has the best chance of winning right now. But again, anything can happen. It's a year out. We could have some kind of strong campaign come in. Who knows? We don't know. But I think the more time goes by, it's more likely that Juna Perkins is going to be the one. And we're just going to continue to cover it. I should have asked this one. I'm sorry I missed that, Elizabeth, early. She said, love the Just Show Up t-shirt. Where is that one available? I don't know. We should ask Nan that. Nan was wearing that in the cover shot today that we used for this YouTube thumbnail when I met her that day outside the court. And that is her phrase that she's known for. You know what? I just want to, before I do go, I'm going to play this little video. I probably should have played it with Nan tonight. But if you haven't seen it yet, I thought this was interesting. And I definitely want to talk about it before I go tonight, because I don't want people to get the wrong idea about it. I don't think this really proves anything. I don't want any, conspiracy theories to say, oh, this means something. I don't think it really means much, but it's interesting to see Alan Jackson walking through 30 Fairview. These are some clips that Nick Rocco has posted to Twitter. I put them, 4 or 5 clips together and just made one longer video. So you'll see it's like several clips. You may have seen bits and pieces of it. He's walking through Fairview, the home. He's in the cellar. You're going to notice the cellar basement got ripped up. I know people are kind of jumping on that. I don't think it's that shocking. Like, people's cellars get flooded. I've had a couple floods in my cellar, so it happens. I actually replaced the floor. It wasn't because something happened in there; it's because of the flooding. I wanted to make sure I had a floor that was better for it. So I don't think we can jump to conclusions on this. I just think it's very interesting to see the basement and to see the bulkhead. And really, what I think is most interesting is to see how easy it is to get out of that bulkhead, walk through the fence, and be at the location where John's body was found. So I'm just going to play it. I think it's fascinating to see that Alan Jackson was in there. We also try to turn the volume up on it a little bit, try to enhance the sound. And we did add some captions to it too. So I'm just going to play it up to end the show so we could take a look at it. Again, I don't want any people jumping to conclusions, but it is interesting to look at. So let's just bring that up, and I think we're going to end the show with that. I'm not sure when the next show is going to be. Probably going to take off the 4th and maybe tomorrow. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure. I believe this was recently. It looks pretty recently that Alan was in the house. All right, let's see this. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to put myself maybe at the bottom here. Let's do that. Okay. And let's make sure the volume is on full blast, as loud as we can be. Okay. All right, let's do this. Let's watch this little video.
And once you get done with that, inside that room is some flooring.
Yep. Yep.
Or is that? Is it? Let me look. No, there's no flooring. All right, so basically every single part of this part of the basement,
Yep.
of this part of the house, the flooring's been taken up. I mean, all of this, it's just hodgepodge, right? It just looks like it was thrown down. So the actual floor was ripped up, and this is just a hodgepodge of plywood all the way through here.
Yep.
Yeah, the entire floor was ripped out. And then this goes into a storage area it looked like this area did not have flooring in it to begin with, but all this is it looks to be relatively recent plywood.
From the document, different.
Are you getting enough light to actually get this?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe, maybe not. The point is, it's never been sampled.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that. That could be,
Okay.
who knows, right? Could be the back of the head.
Okay, will that door open? Paul, come take a look at this. This is the bulkhead door. Look at that.
Yeah.
Directly into the backyard. Yeah. Yeah. Get an establishing shot from over there. And I'll get out of the picture.
Okay.
This guy's been using a while.
And this was obviously after they sold the home. This is with the new homeowners had let the defense team in there. Well, let me continue to play this. This is the bulkhead now.
Okay. I don't think we need to go up and pull the bulkhead up, but
Okay. You gotta get rid of it. Okay.
okay. One finger. I mean, there's nothing to open this. Wow. And look at that. There's the door.
Yep.
Directly to the basement. This is. I'm gonna pace it off. Let's say we come up from here.
Okay.
This is the door that we opened earlier, right here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 paces. And look where it goes. Straight shot. You open this door.
Yeah.
What are you looking at?
The only thing
Right there.
I'm thinking about how deep was the snow. Then again, it was
It was a
fluffy.
dusting.
Yeah.
It was a dusting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what, 6 inches? This door opens on 6 inches of
Plus,
snow.
They're pretty motivated and they're pretty strong and they're pretty blunt.
And look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. "24 paces."
Yeah. I like the theory.
And look at the cover.
Yeah.
Look at the cover. You can't. The only time you're staying is around 20 feet.
You know, it's like you said, how come if everybody's even the party, nobody sees them up there.
It's because he wasn't out there yet.
Yeah.
He wasn't out there yet. Straight shot. I have no idea. Straight shot right from the basement to the back of this door, right there. Like crow flies.
The whole thing on YouTube. There's a little more to it. I actually clicked off a little too early. Sorry, but that's pretty much the gist of it. You can watch the whole thing on our YouTube if you want. On Nick Rocco on Twitter and his ex, he's got all the individual clips there. I did want to thank a couple Venmos and Cash Apps that came in a little bit earlier today. One of them in the last few days. Patricia H sent $10 earlier today during our stream. Thank you so much, Patricia H. Also, Beth P has sent $10 a little while back. Those are in Cash App. That was a Monday, actually, and said that's for the legal fund. Thank you so much. And Carly C also sent $15 the other night, too, and said, thank you so much for having Jodine Weber on. That was my pleasure. I really enjoyed having Jodine. Jody Weber, she's amazing, FBI agent. Also on Venmo, a couple contributions came in on June 30th. I want to make sure I acknowledge them if I haven't. Paula C sent $5 and said, why would the commissioner get involved? What are the McAlberts holding over their heads talking about Michael Cox? I know, right? Who knows? That is an interesting angle. Why would Commissioner Cox get involved? Barbara M also sent $10 on June 30th. Thank you so much, Barbara M. That was on the Venmo. Thank you, everybody who supports us. Thank you to the new members. Thank you to our moderators, Sarah and Shakanara, Stephanie, Jeno, MJ, and Scott McGinnis. Thank you so much to our mod team. We have the best mod team around. They may twist my arm. They may force me to show up on July 7th for Aiden's hearing. Turtle Boy. I don't know. I still don't know. It's going to depend on my schedule. If I'm not there, I'll try to stream it either way. I just want to thank everyone. I hope you have a ducky weekend. Enjoy the ducks. Happy 4th of July to everyone. Be safe, especially with those fireworks. If you have some dogs, someone posted earlier that I should do some type of dog behavior show. Maybe someday I will. We used to have Rocco on the show. He was my animal behaviorist. I try to get him back, but he's I think he might be too busy for us, honestly. But maybe we will do that someday. Keep your doggies extra safe though. With the fireworks, a lot of dogs get freaked out and a lot of them escape and you never see them again. So please make sure you have a tight harness or a tight leash on your dog. Tight collar. Make sure you check your collars and check your harnesses. You definitely don't want your dog freaking out and getting loose during the fireworks. That's a nightmare. You can also, for people that have dogs that get skittish, they have vests, like safety vests that like compression vests that oftentimes will chill dogs out. You can often get them some prescription or OTC medicine. Check your pet stores. A lot of times they have different supplements you can give them to keep your dog chill. Yeah, Thunder Vest. Thank you, Laura. That's exactly what I was trying to. There's Thunder Vest you can give your dogs. Sometimes that will help. So you might want to try some of those things. Yeah, some dogs don't care. Some dogs are deaf. My dog used to get all upset, but he's gotten so old. He's just chill now. I don't know if it's funny. Old age usually calms pets down. That's why I don't like fireworks, because of what it does to people with PTSD and animals. I think it's not. I'm not a big fan of fireworks. I hate to say it. I hate to be the Debbie Downer. I think it's wasteful too, and it causes so many fires, especially the bootleg ones. All the idiots that are shooting them off all night. It's one thing the town does their fireworks. I get it. That's fine. But it's all these idiots. They light their houses on fire. Just be safe, everyone. Enjoy it. Have a good yeah, and the veterans too. Like, I don't know if the vets really want to hear that, right? It's like the old Bill Hicks thing. Like, if Jesus ever really came back, do you think he wants to see himself up on a cross? Like, I don't think so. Like, it's the same thing for the veterans on the 4th of July. Do you think the vets really like it? The fireworks? I don't know. But enjoy it. I think for me the best thing about 4th of July is the cookouts. I like food. I like to eat. So I'm gonna be enjoying on the 4th of July. Definitely. Yeah. I hope everyone has a good holiday. Enjoy, stay cool, stay hydrated. We'll see you again when we see you. I'm not sure. I'm trying to keep things loose right now. We'll see what happens. Yeah, herbal. You can get some herbal supplements for your pet at the pet store to calm them down. Definitely. Yeah, I will be pigging out. Believe me. Believe me. I'll be eating everything. Yeah, I think I'm heading to my sister-in-law's, and I gotta say, her husband, oh, he is the best, man. His food is so good. I'm already craving it. I'm not gonna say their names. I don't want to put them on the spot, but sometimes they watch. If they're watching, I'm looking forward to eating your food on the 4th of July. That's all I'll say. They got the best food, man. He is, oh, he knows how to do it. Like, even his potato salad, I'm just like, oh, I can't wait. Everything. Usually some brisket. It's like one of those cookouts you go and you're like, I want to give you like $500 because the food is so good. I wanna help, and they won't take money. Of course not. All right, I'm out of here. I'll see you soon. Whenever I see you. Thank you so much. Have a great holiday. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Attorney Nan Gallagher, for being here tonight. Thank you, everybody, for the super chats. I don't think I missed any. I think I got you all up there. Thank you, Jay-Z, for becoming a member for the last 2 months. Thank you, Captain. Thank you, Captain. That's all I'm going to say on that one. Thank you, Mark Cunningham and Laura. And Leslie Tonkin. Thank you so much for the super chat tonight. That is weird about Ted Bundy. Thank you, Melanie Little's awesomeness and left swipe. I'm trying to think of what's up with the left swipe. I think, are you trying to date Melanie? Grant's rope belt. Thank you for the $25. Yeah, I've been so long out of the dating thing. I don't even know what like left or right swipe. I don't even know what that like which is which. I have no idea. No idea. I never did any of those dating apps. All right, I'm out of here. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you soon. I'm not sure when, but we'll see you. Have a great night and good holiday if I don't see you. Peace out.